So in this session, first of all, I'll be dealing with the neighborhood. Sri Lanka has been in news for multiple reasons, and let us see what all we need to know about it from prelims point of view. There's a very important US and UK military base in this Chagos Island, which is known as Diego Garcia, and President Trump has actually objected to this deal. So this is again very important, that it can be asked that Mahasagar doctrine was launched by India or by Prime Minister Modi from which place? So the answer is Mauritius. Very important area for UPSC Prelims 2026 is, so Gen Z protest in Madagascar, Philippines, Nepal, Indonesia, and also in Morocco, right? And what is common about the Gen Z? So they are digital natives, like they are very comfortable with using of digital technology. Recently, why WTO was in news, and very important is that in 2026 itself, we had a ministerial conference. Ministerial conferences of WTO are held biennially, like once in 2 years. So there was a ministerial conference 14, right? MC14 was held at Yaoundé in Cameroon, right? So very important in March 2026, and this was the 14th ministerial conference. So Yaoundé in Cameroon. Now let's look at some of the important water bodies which were in news and can be asked in exam. First is Strait of Hormuz. Hello friends, welcome to Drishti IAS Score Booster Series for Prelims 2026. Myself Abhishek Mishra, and in this session I'll be dealing with some of the important topics from international relations. So let us start our session now. Right. So in this session, first of all, I'll be dealing with the neighborhood, right? So from international relations, the kind of questions which can be asked in UPSC Prelims 2026. So basically, we can be asked about the relationship with our neighbors, then with important partner countries, then there can be question about important summits, right? And there can also be question about civil wars, conflicts, or any kind of important events, etc., which might have happened, right? So basically we'll be looking at these important things in international relations, right? And wherever possible, I'll also be showing you the map. So let us start our journey with our neighbor Sri Lanka, right? Sri Lanka. So Sri Lanka has been in news for multiple reasons, and let us see what all we need to know about it from prelims point of view. So Sri Lanka, there was Prime Minister's visit, Prime Minister Modi's visit in April 2025, right? And at that time, Sri Lanka also gave him its highest civilian honor, which is Sri Lanka Mitra Vibhushan, right? It is the highest honor for foreign leaders that was given to Prime Minister Modi. And in context of Sri Lanka, we know that Sri Lanka became independent from Britishers in 1948. Earlier, Sri Lanka was known by this name, Ceylon, right? This was the previous name of Sri Lanka, Ceylon, Ceylon, Ceylon. And Tamil issue has been a major point of conflict in Sri Lanka, and India had also been involved in that conflict because the Tamils look up to India as their protector, right? So the Tamil issue is basically an issue of ethnicity and also religion. So in Sri Lanka, there are two major communities. The majority community is Sinhalese, who comprise around 75% of the population, and Tamils, who comprise of 15% of the population. Now the Sinhalese are mainly Buddhists and the Tamils are mainly Hindus, right? So this ethnic and religious division is there in Sri Lanka, which led to the ethnic conflict in Sri Lanka, right? Now there was a 26-year long civil war, 26-year long civil war in Sri Lanka. Right, and the most dreaded terrorist group in Sri Lanka was LTTE, Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam. Right. So in 2009, this civil war continued from 83 till 2009. In 2009, finally LTTE was defeated. Right, and since then the Tamil issue has gone to the back burner. But there's a very important constitutional amendment which promises full political rights for the Tamil people in Sri Lanka. Now that amendment is always in news whenever there is high level visit from India to Sri Lanka or from Sri Lanka to India, and that amendment is known as 13th Amendment. Right, this is the 13th Amendment to Sri Lankan Constitution, and it talks about full political rights for Tamils. So this is mostly in news, right, and this amendment has not been implemented fully by the Sri Lankan government, right, for various reasons. And this amendment was actually part of the Indo-Sri Lanka Peace Accord, Indo-Sri Lanka Peace Accord of 1987, under which India sent its forces to Sri Lanka, IPKF, Indian Peacekeeping Force. So it turned out to be not a very good exercise for India, and ultimately the IPKF was recalled in 1990. So these are some things which we need to know, but Tamil issue has now become not that salient an issue between India and Sri Lanka. The more important issue between India and Sri Lanka these days is the fishermen issue, right, fishermen issue. And connected with fishermen issue is the Katchatheevu dispute, right. So we need to know about this. Also, the influence of China has been rising in Sri Lanka, and the Chinese vessels keep coming to the Sri Lankan ports. That is also a concern for India, right. So these are the things which we need to know about Sri Lanka as such. Now let me take you to the fishermen issue, right, fishermen issue. Right. So why there is this issue between fishermen of Sri Lanka and India? So the major issue is that Indian fishermen, they cross into the Sri Lankan waters. Sometimes it is happening by mistake, sometimes it is also deliberate, because there is better fishing stocks available on the Sri Lankan side. Right. So Indian fishermen are entering Sri Lankan waters, sometimes innocently, and sometimes it is also deliberate. Right. Now what the Sri Lankan Navy does, Sri Lankan Navy is trigger happy, and it is arresting or shooting at the Indian fishermen, and this leads to challenge on the Indian side, right. And the Indian fishermen, they also are accused of ecologically damaging practice which is known as bottom sea trawling. Now in bottom sea trawling, what is done is a large fishing net is dragged across the seabed, and it not just catches the fish but all biodiversity along with it. So it is very, very damaging practice, and Sri Lanka accuses Indian fishermen of indulging in it. So Indian government is trying to actually make sure that this thing is reduced, right. There's one term which we should know here, that is bycatch, right. What is bycatch? So bycatch is when you are trying to fish, and if you indulge in this bottom sea trawling kind of activity, so you are trying to catch fish, but other species are also getting caught. So that is known as bycatch, which you are not directly targeting, but they are also getting caught. Now what is the Katchatheevu issue? So Katchatheevu is a small barren island between India and Sri Lanka, and both sides used to claim this island, right, as part of their territory. Now there were two agreements which were signed in 1974 and 1976 between India and Sri Lanka, and through these agreements, what India has done, India has recognized sovereignty of Sri Lanka over the Katchatheevu island, and also India and Sri Lanka settled their maritime boundary, right. So both of these things were done. So India has not given away Katchatheevu Island to Sri Lanka, because to give away something you need to have full possession of that thing, no ownership of that thing. So this was a contested place. So what has happened that after going through all the historical records, etc., the Indian government felt that okay, Sri Lanka has a better claim. So Sri Lanka's claim was accepted by India. So India recognized the sovereignty of Sri Lanka over Katchatheevu, but at the same time, because in international relations everything is give and take, so India took some concessions from Sri Lanka while settling the India-Sri Lanka maritime boundary. And one of the place that India took as concession was Vaj Bank. This area is near Kanyakumari. Right. So this area is near Kanyakumari, and it is rich in fishing resources. Right. It is rich in fishing resources. So it was a matter of give and take that was done. And who were the prime ministers when this 1974 and 76 agreements were done between India and Sri Lanka? So there were two female prime ministers in both the countries. In fact, the world's first women prime minister, right, not just in Sri Lanka but in the world, was Prime Minister Sirimavo Bandaranaike, right. So she is the world's she was the world's first women prime minister, and that time Sirimavo Bandaranaike was the prime minister of Sri Lanka, and Indira Gandhi ji was the prime minister of India. So and they had good equation also. So they settled this issue, right. So this is the settled issue. Because one more thing that we need to understand here, that you read about the Re-Berubari Union case, right, in polity as part of whether preamble is part of the constitution or not. But the Re-Berubari Union case was basically about Berubari Union, which was being claimed by Pakistan, that half of it should go to Pakistan. Now the central government took a presidential reference, that is why Re, and the constitutional bench of Supreme Court held that if India is acquiring any territory from any other country, then constitutional amendment under Article 368 is not needed. But in case India is giving away even 1 inch of its land, then a constitutional amendment under Article 368 is needed. So we have no constitutional amendment for Katchatheevu because it was not ceded or given away by India to Sri Lanka. Both sides were claiming it. India just recognized the claim of Sri Lanka, right, in the spirit of neighborhood first, right. That was done by India, right. So that is why the context of Re-Berubari Union comes here. So no constitutional amendment act is there for Katchatheevu, right. Now Sri Lanka has been facing a severe economic crisis, right, and Sri Lanka actually defaulted in 2022, right. So in 2022 it defaulted on sovereign debt, and the debt was around $51 billion. Sri Lanka was not able to repay it, and India helped Sri Lanka, right. We helped Sri Lanka with around $4.4 billion plus of economic aid, but Sri Lanka still needed IMF's help to come out of this crisis, and it went for the extended fund facility of IMF, right. But IMF, whenever it gives any kind of help, it puts some conditions. India gave help without conditions, but IMF puts conditions. So based on conditions, it gives loans, and the conditions are like you have to raise the taxes, you have to lower the subsidies, etc., right. Now after this, in 2024 there were elections in Sri Lanka, and the new president of Sri Lanka is Sri Anura Dissanayake. Anura Dissanayake. So this name also we should remember, because in South Asia we see that lot of new leaders have come up in many countries, right. So in Sri Lanka the president is Anura, not Arun, but Anura, A-N-U-R-A, Anura Dissanayake, and his political party is JVP. It stands for Janata Vimukti Peramuna, Janata Vimukti Peramuna, and it is part of the National People's Power Alliance, right. So they have won 2/3 majority in the 2024 elections, right. And the new Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, she is also a lady, and she has studied from Hindu College in Delhi University. Her name is Dr. Harini Amarasuriya. Dr. Harini Amarasuriya, and she had also come to India last year, right? So she was also in news. Dr. Harini Amarasuriya. So again, in the neighborhood, we can see a lot of leaders who have studied in India, right? So Dr. Harini Amarasuriya is there. The new Prime Minister of Nepal, Mr. Balendra Shah, he has studied in Bengaluru, and the interim Prime Minister of Nepal, who was appointed earlier after the Gen Z revolution, Miss Sushila Karki, she had also studied from Banaras Hindu University, right? So we have a lot of leaders in South Asia at present who have studied in India, right? Next, Sri Lanka, the state religion is Buddhism, and Anuradhapura is a very important Buddhist site. Here we have this temple, Jaya Sri Mahabodhi temple, right? So this temple is considered to be very sacred for the Buddhists, because it is believed that a branch of the Bodhi tree was brought here, right? And that is why it is known as the Jaya Sri Mahabodhi temple, right? Sri Lanka has also adopted UPI payment system, and Vaishak is Buddha Purnima, right? It is known as Vaishak. So it is a very important festival in Sri Lanka. Right. Another thing about Sri Lanka, we should know that in Sri Lanka there are two types of Tamils. There are Sri Lankan Tamils who have been in Sri Lanka for centuries, and there are Indian Tamils. Indian Tamils were taken to Sri Lanka to work in plantations by the Britishers 200 years back. So there are two types of Tamils, and the Indian plantation workers were taken to Sri Lanka 200 years back, and in 2023 200 years of their going to Sri Lanka was celebrated. So 1823 they were taken there, and the Indian Tamils in Sri Lanka are known as Malaya Tamils or Hill Country Tamils, right? Because in Sri Lanka basically the plantations are in the central part of Sri Lanka, and this is actually hilly area, right? Hilly area in which plantations are there. That is why they are known as Hill Country Tamils or Malaya Tamils. The Sri Lankan Tamils, on the other hand, are concentrated in the northern part and the eastern part, right? So northern and eastern part. Rest of the country, it is generally the Sinhalese majority, right? And India and Sri Lanka are separated by around 10 nautical miles, and 1 nautical miles is around 1.85 kilometers. So this conversion also you should remember. Sometimes they ask in UPSC. So 10 nautical miles, right? So very our next door neighbor Sri Lanka, right? But we share a maritime border with Sri Lanka, and we should also know that on top we have India, right? India. So there's a water body which is known as Pax Strait, right? Pax Strait, and Pax Strait connects Gulf of Mannar on this side, Gulf of Mannar, and Park Bay on this side, Park Bay on this side. So Gulf of Mannar on the left side, that is on the side of where you will have Maldives and Lakshadweep Islands, so on the western side, and on the eastern side you have Park Bay, and Park Strait connects Gulf of Mannar with Park Bay, right? The Park Strait. Right. Now, what can be asked? I have given you some historical background about Sri Lanka India relations, but what was in current affairs? So, in current affairs, it was about a cyclone, right? One cyclone, major cyclone hit Sri Lanka, and that was Cyclone Ditwa, right? So, it hit Sri Lanka in December 2025, and the name of the cyclone was Cyclone Ditwa, right? And India provided aid. Basically, we did a humanitarian assistance and disaster relief operation, and the name of the operation was Operation Sagar Bandhu. So India did Operation Sagar Bandhu. in Sri Lanka. Right. Now, sometimes what can be asked is directly the name of the operation. So, we should remember Operation Sagar Bandhu done by India to help Sri Lanka when it was hit by the cyclone Ditwa. Another type of question can be like who has named or which country has named Ditwa. So, the name Ditwa was given by Yemen, right. So, Yemen, West Asian country, and Yemen has named it after a lagoon in Yemen, right. So, there is a lagoon, the name of the lagoon in Yemen is Ditwa, and it is near Socotra Island, right, Socotra Island, right. So, this Socotra Island we should also know, right, Socotra Island, Ditwa lagoon, and the name given by Yemen. So, this information also we should know. Next, very importantly, question can also be about which are the countries which name the cyclones in this northern Indian Ocean region, right. So, in northern Indian Ocean there are 13 countries which are involved in the naming of the cyclones here, and all these 13 countries they suggest 13 names each, right. So, there is a total list of 13 into 13 equal to 169 names, right, and one by one these names are used, right. If a cyclone is particularly devastating, that then that name is removed from the list, and the concerned country which had provided that name, it is asked for a replacement name, right. So, let us see how it works. So, there are 13 countries, 13 countries are there, and they name cyclones in the northern Indian Ocean region, and in this region the responsibility is of IMD, India Meteorological Department. India Meteorological Department is one of the 6 RSMC, which is Regional Specialized Meteorological Centers of WMO. Right. So, IMD is one of the 6 RSMCs assigned by the WMO, World Meteorological Organization, and the practice of naming cyclones in northern Indian Ocean started in 2004, right. So, it started in 2004, and that time 8 countries were there, later on other countries were added. So, now let us look at which are the 13 countries, right. So, it is very easy if we look at them geographically, right. So, basically northern Indian Ocean region there are 13 countries involved in this process, right, out of which from South Asia there are 5 countries which are India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Maldives and Bangladesh, right. So, India, Sri Lanka, Maldives, Pakistan, Bangladesh. So, these are the 5 countries. Then from Southeast Asia there are 2 countries which are Myanmar and Thailand. From West Asia we have Oman, Yemen, Iran, UAE, Saudi Arabia and Qatar, right. So, these are the countries, and Yemen, Iran, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, they were added in 2020, right? They were added later to this list. So, altogether now we have 13 countries which are which name cyclones in this region, northern Indian Ocean region, right. Then in context of Sri Lanka there was also another mission which was in news, and that is an anti-drug operation that was carried out in Sri Lanka last year, and the name of the mission is A Nation United. It is an anti-drugs operation launched by Sri Lanka. So, A Nation United, right, anti-drug operation in Sri Lanka. Then sometimes in UPSC Prelims we are asked about the military exercises, joint defense exercises, right. So, with Sri Lanka we are having these 2 major exercises, Mitra Shakti and Slynex, right. So, these are the defense exercises we should remember, right. Next we will move to Maldives, right, Maldives. So, in Maldives what all we should know. So, the capital of Maldives is Malé, right, and the language spoken in Maldives is Divehi, right. It is the language Divehi, Divehi. There is a military exercise that we do with Maldives, that is Equivarian, right. So, Equivarian exercise also we should know, Equivarian, it means friendship in Divehi. Then Maldives became independent in 1965. It was earlier ruled by UK, right? So it was a colony of the UK and it became independent in 1965. Now a new terminal of Velana Airport has been inaugurated last year. So it was in news in context of this, right? Velana Airport. So we should remember the airport. The name can be asked, Velana Airport, in matching question. So it is of Maldives. A new terminal was inaugurated last year. Then last year, Prime Minister Modi was invited as chief guest for the 60th Independence Day celebration of Maldives, right? So since 2023, there has been some strain in relationship between India and Maldives, but now with the visit of Prime Minister Modi last year as chief guest of the Independence Day celebration, 60th Independence Day celebration, it seems that things are now returning to normal in the relationship between India and Maldives, right? So it is a good sign. And India has also given Bhishma cubes to Maldives, right? And Bhishma cubes basically stand for Bharat Health Initiative for Sahyog, Hit and Maitri, right? So they are basically portable hospital units, right, for emergency medical assistance. So they are portable hospital units, Bhishma cubes. India has provided it to many countries. It had provided it to Ukraine as well, right, during Prime Minister Modi's visit to Ukraine. Now, so India has given Bhishma cubes, Bharat Health Initiative for Sahyog, Hit and Maitri, which are portable hospital units, to Maldives. And these are basically deployable medical cubes carrying essential medicines and equipments for emergency care. Now, India and Maldives are also trying for this local currency settlement system between Indian rupee and Maldivian rufiya. So rufiya is the currency of Maldives. Right. Then there was this news about this Chagos Island. Chagos Island was also in news. So Chagos Island issue, we can be asked direct question on this. So Chagos Island is a territory which is currently under UK, right? Mauritius claims it, and there was an agreement between UK and Mauritius under which UK was supposed to hand it back to Mauritius. But there's a very important US and UK military base in this Chagos Island, which is known as Diego Garcia, and President Trump has actually objected to this deal, right? So now it seems that Britain is also reconsidering the deal, but otherwise Britain and Mauritius had decided that the Chagos Islands will be returned to Mauritian sovereignty, and Mauritius will give on long-term lease the Diego Garcia Island to UK, right, and the base will continue. So this was the agreement. So now let's look at Chagos Island issue. So Chagos Island is home to a joint US-UK military base which is known as Diego Garcia, very important, and this base is operating here since 1971. The Chagos Island consists of around 60 islands, right, which are basically coral atolls, right, coral atolls. And atolls are what? These are ring-shaped coral reef islands. Atolls are ring-shaped coral reef islands. Now, in 2025, United Kingdom and Mauritius agreed to transfer the sovereignty of Chagos Islands to Mauritius, right? So it was agreed in May 2025. And Diego Garcia will be leased back by Mauritius to UK and for a payment of around 101 million pounds every year. That understanding was there. Now, Mauritius gained independence in 1968 from United Kingdom, but UK had retained control over the Chagos Island, right? So we should also look at the location. I'll show you the location also of the Chagos Islands, right? So here we can see the location of Chagos Islands. Right. So here we have the Chagos Islands, right? And just over the top you can see Maldives, right? This is Maldives, and Mauritius is here. Mauritius is here. So the Chagos Islands are actually nearer to Maldives rather than Mauritius, right? Mauritius. And this is the Diego Garcia US base here. Then India is also interested in the Agalega Islands, right? Agalega Islands. So the location of Agalega also you should see. And then we have Seychelles, right? Seychelles is located here, and the Assumption Island of Seychelles. India was also interested here, but Seychelles later on backed out from this deal, whereby India had to develop some kind of military facility here, but then Seychelles withdrew from here. So Assumption Island of Seychelles and Agalega Island of Mauritius, right? Both these places also we should know. And then the Chagos, okay? Chagos Archipelago, it is just south of Maldives. Right. Now we come back to Mauritius. We have seen the Chagos Island on map. Now let's look at Mauritius. So Mauritius is an African country. It's also an Indian Ocean country, but mainly it is considered as an African country, and it is part of Indian Ocean region and also a member of the Global South, the developing world. Now 70% of Mauritians are of Indian descent, right? And Bhojpuri is one of the official language in Mauritius, right? Now the capital of Mauritius is Port Louis, and the national day, again it is connected to India. So National Day of Mauritius is celebrated on 12th of March, and this date has been chosen to coincide with the historic Dandi March by Gandhiji in 1930. Right? So 12th March is the National Day of Mauritius. Now on 12th March 1968, Mauritius achieved independence from United Kingdom. Right. And the Prime Minister of Mauritius is Mr. Naveen Ramgoolam, and the Agalega Island, which I showed you on the map, India has built a military infrastructure in this Agalega Island, right? Agalega Island, we should remember, Assumption Island of Seychelles. Then why last year it was very important visit by Prime Minister Modi to Mauritius, because a new doctrine was initiated by India while Prime Minister Modi was in Mauritius for his official visit. So in 2015, when Prime Minister Modi had gone to Mauritius, he had launched Sagar doctrine or Sagar vision, and in 2025 Sagar has been updated to Mahasagar, right? So now it has become Mahasagar. Sagar was basically security and growth for all in the region, so the focus was basically Indian Ocean region, but now under this Mahasagar, the focus has become wider, much wider. Now we are targeting entire global south with this. So we are no longer restricted to Indian Ocean region. Obviously Indian Ocean region remains very important for us, but at the same time we have increased the scope of this doctrine. So Mahasagar stands for mutual and holistic advancement for security and growth across regions, right? So this is again very, very important, that it can be asked that Mahasagar doctrine was launched by India or by Prime Minister Modi from which place? So the answer is Mauritius in 2025. Right, very, very important area for UPSC Prelims 2026 is Colombo Security Conclave, right? This is a very important grouping in the Indian Ocean region, right, of which India is a founding member, along with Sri Lanka and Maldives, right? So recently why it was in news, because Seychelles has become the 6th member of Colombo Security Conclave. India hosted the NSA level summit in November 2025 of Colombo Security Conclave, and in this conclave Malaysia attended as guest country, right? So Malaysia also attended as guest country. It has not become a member. The membership has been given to Seychelles, and Seychelles has become the 6th member of the grouping. So it's a regional maritime security grouping in IOR. IOR is Indian Ocean region and focused on 5 key pillars. The pillars are maritime safety, counter-terrorism, combating trafficking, cyber security and disaster relief. Now, little bit about the Colombo Security Conclave. We can get a static question from here as well. So, Colombo Security Conclave, it was established in 2011 as a trilateral grouping of India, Sri Lanka and Maldives. Mauritius became a member in 2022, then Bangladesh became a member in 2024, and now Seychelles have become a member in 2025. Right. So, the sequence is Mauritius, Bangladesh, Seychelles, MBS, that we should remember, and the headquarter of Colombo Security Conclave is in Colombo itself. Right. So, this is about the Colombo Security Conclave, very important, and a direct question is expected. Right. Next, we look at Seychelles. So, India and Seychelles, we also do joint military exercise, and this exercise was in news. The name of the exercise is L'Amitié, like L'Amitié, and Assumption Island project to develop naval facility by India was cancelled in 2018. Right. So, I have already shown you Assumption Island and the location of Seychelles, as well as Agalega Island and location of Mauritius, along with Chagos Island, right, which is just to the south of Maldives. Right. Next, we come to our neighbor Pakistan. So, Pakistan was also in news throughout last year, especially because of Operation Sindoor launched by India. So, in Pakistan, there has been a situation of polycrisis. That means they have multiple crises, and such as high inflation, high unemployment, there is the economic crisis, natural calamities, right, terrorism, political instability. So, every crisis is present in Pakistan, a case of polycrisis. Now, there were elections in Pakistan in 2024, and Shehbaz Sharif has become the Prime Minister. His political party is Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz. The army chief is Asim Munir, who has promoted himself to the rank of Field Marshal. Right. So, Field Marshal Asim Munir. Then Pakistan is facing a three-front situation. Three-front situation basically for India, for example, there is a two-front situation. We have two hostile neighbors, Pakistan and China, on both sides. Right. So, we have a two-front situation, China on one side and Pakistan on the other. Whereas Pakistan itself has a three-front situation where Iran is there on one front, Afghanistan is there on another front, and India is there. Right. So, it faces a three-front situation. Right now, Pakistan is taking a lead in mediating in the Iran war, but otherwise with Iran also the relations are not that good. So, Balochistan issue has been dominating the Pakistan politics. So, Balochistan is the largest province of Pakistan area wise, but it has the smallest population, right, and Balochistan is also rich in natural resources, but it faces a situation of resource curse, where a place which is having a lot of resources also has underdevelopment because of this, because the benefit is taken by the outsiders. So, that is happening in Balochistan also, and that is why there is a insurgency against Pakistan running in Balochistan. So, Balochistan Liberation Army is there, which is the major militant group active in Balochistan, and Quetta is the capital of Balochistan. The Gwadar port, which is being developed by Pakistan with the help of China, it is also located in Balochistan only. Now, 40% area which is rich in natural resources, 40% area of Pakistan is in Balochistan, and only 6% of Pakistan's population. Now, the Gwadar port, which is part of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor built by China in Balochistan. Right, and why there is Baloch insurgency? Because of political marginalization of the Baloch people, economic exploitation of Balochistan's natural resources, human rights violation, and extrajudicial killings of Baloch activists by Pakistan army. So, these are the factors why Balochistan is facing insurgency. And one important fact we should know, that Oman actually had sovereignty over Gwadar port or Gwadar until 1958. The place Gwadar, it was under the sovereignty of Oman till 1958. Later on it was taken by Pakistan, right? Right. And the people, Baluch people, right? The Baluch people are wanting a country of their own, but they do not have a country. They are divided across 3 countries. So Baluch people you will find in Iran, you will find in Pakistan, and you will also find in Afghanistan, right? So the Baluch people do not have a state of their own. Next issue confronting Pakistan has been its constant tension with Afghanistan. Pakistan was happiest when Taliban returned to Afghanistan, but both sides have realized that they are not able to meet each other's expectations, right? Pakistan wanted Taliban or Afghan Taliban to act like a client state, but Afghan Taliban is not ready for that. It wants to maintain its sovereignty. So there has been issues between Pakistan and the Afghan Taliban. The Afghan Taliban captured power in Afghanistan in 2021, right? There's a terrorist group in Pakistan which is very active and which has ideological similarity with the Afghan Taliban, and that is Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, TTP. It shares common ideological roots with Afghan Taliban. Afghan Taliban says that we do not have any like direct link with the TTP, Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, but Pakistan keeps putting pressure on Afghan Taliban to control TTP, right? Talib means students. Now, a major issue that Pakistan is facing, that TTP keeps launching terror attacks inside Pakistan, right, which is the major issue for Pakistan. And a significant outstanding issue between Pakistan and Afghanistan has been the status of Durand Line. Now, Durand Line is a line of 1893. It was in news last year, right, because of the conflict between Afghanistan and Pakistan. So, this line is very, very important, Durand Line. This is basically the border between Afghanistan and Pakistan. But Afghanistan refuses to accept it, right? It says that it was a colonial imposition by the Britishers, right? So it's the border between Pakistan and Afghanistan, but it is not accepted by Afghanistan, right? So we should know about this Durand Line. So Durand Line, the year we should remember, 1893. Sir Mortimer Durand, an Afghan ruler, Abdur Rahman Khan, right? So both the names we should know. Sir Mortimer Durand, the British representative, and Afghan ruler of Abdur Rahman Khan, they finalized this line in 1893. The aim was to create a buffer and prevent further Russian expansion into British India. So the basic aim was to protect British India, right? That is why this Durand Line was made. The recent conflict between Pakistan and Afghanistan. So Pakistan launched airstrikes against Afghanistan. So Pakistan has also declared open war with the Afghan Taliban in February 2026. The name of the operation, they are calling it as Ghazab-Lil-Haq, Operation Ghazab-Lil-Haq. The English translation is Righteous Fury, Righteous Fury. Here you should also remember that Epic Fury is the name given by US to the operation against Iran, right? The war against Iran, that the US has named it as Epic Fury, and Pakistan has named Ghazab-Lil-Haq, which is Righteous Fury against Afghanistan. Right. The reason for strained relations between Taliban and Pakistan are as follows. So repeated terrorist attacks in Pakistan by Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, and Pakistan blames Afghan Taliban for it. Second is Durand Line, not recognized by Afghanistan. Third is this Pakistan is trying to send back Afghan refugees to back to Afghanistan, and that is not liked by the refugees and also by Afghanistan. Fourth is Afghanistan is not ready to be a client state of Pakistan, right? It is not ready to do the bidding of Pakistan, right? So that is also a challenge in the relationship. Now some places in news were there because of the border clashes. So Chaman border was in news. The Spin Boldak crossing, right? Chaman border or Spin Lake. It was in news. Right. So this was in news, right? Next, we move to these step countries were also in news in context of the Iran war, and these are Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Egypt and Pakistan, right? Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Turkey and Pakistan, step countries, and they are trying to mediate in the Iran war, right? Finally, Pakistan has been at the forefront of this. Then Pakistan was also in news because of this Pasni port, right? So Pasni port, Pakistan has offered to US, right? And if you will see the location of Gwadar port, so if Gwadar is located here, Pasni is located here, right? And this is towards India and this is towards Iran, right? And another port here is the Chabahar port, right? So this is the location that you should see in the map as well. Now Pakistan has joined the Board of Peace for Gaza, right? Board of Peace for Gaza. India has attended the meeting as observer, right? India has not joined so far. Now the 27th amendment in Pakistan's constitution, it was also in news. So this basically under this a new post has been created, the Chief of Defence Forces, and it also grants lifelong immunity from criminal proceedings to any officer promoted to this rank and President of Pakistan, right? So this has come in for some criticism in Pakistan, but this is basically where army and the political establishment, they are trying to protect themselves from any future legal proceedings. Right. Now Donald Trump, under Donald Trump, Pakistan has got some more visibility internationally, right? Donald Trump was also in news because he has claimed that US again wants the Bagram Air Base, right? So this Bagram Air Base near Kabul is in Afghanistan. Then US relations are improving with Pakistan because of strategic location near Iran and Afghanistan. The nuclear capability of Pakistan, resources of Pakistan, and also the 24 crore population, which is a market. But obviously India's significance for US is much more, right? There is no comparison. But yes, Pakistan is enjoying some attention and focus from US under President Trump, right? Also India's engagement with Taliban is improving because Pakistan is not having good relations with Afghanistan. So, and India is also seeing that the Taliban in Afghanistan is not behaving as a client state or proxy for Pakistan. So India is also started engaging with Taliban. So we had opened our technical mission in 2022 for coordinating the humanitarian relief. Now India has decided to upgrade it to embassy status, right? The foreign minister of Afghanistan, Amir Khan, was also there in India, right? So India has announced that the technical mission will be upgraded to embassy status in 2025. Then very important pass is there in Afghanistan, which is Khyber Pass, which connects Kabul in Afghanistan to Peshawar in Pakistan, right? Most of the attacks on India happened through this region only. Right. We should also know one thing, that the 8-degree channel, 9-degree channel and 10-degree channel, right? Sometimes they can also be asked in exam. So 8-degree channel basically separates Minicoy Island from Maldives, right? So Minicoy, which is part of India, is separated from Maldives. It is very near to Maldives, and that is separated by the 8-degree channel. Further up, 9-degree channel is there, which separates Minicoy Island from rest of Lakshadweep, right? So Minicoy is separated from rest of Lakshadweep by 9-degree channel, and the 10-degree channel is towards the Andaman Nicobar side. The 10-degree channel separates Little Andaman from the Nicobar Island group. Right, so Little Andaman from Nicobar Island group. Right, in this map we can see the location of Sri Lanka here, right, then Maldives group of islands here, right, then Strait of Hormuz here, Babel Mandap here, and the Durand line that we were discussing, right. So this line is the Durand line, which separates Afghanistan from Pakistan. Right, and Sri Lanka you can see here more clearly, right. So this is Sri Lanka, and here we have Park Bay, and here we have Gulf of Mannar on the western side, and eastern side Park Bay. Also you can remember like Bay of Bengal here and Park Bay, right, on the same side. Then they are separated by the Park Strait. Now here we have the Trincomalee, here we have Hambantota port, and here we have Colombo, right. So these are some important ports of Sri Lanka. Right, then we had seen the location of Chagos Island. So Chagos Island, and we have here Diego Garcia, right, the US UK joint base in Chagos Island. Then we have Maldives here, right, and Sri Lanka here, right. Also in this map we can name the or mark the 13 countries which name cyclones in North Indian Ocean, but it's not very clear, so I'll not mark it. One final thing about Pakistan that we need to see is the Indus Waters Treaty, right, because last year India suspended the treaty, and that is why it has been in news. So we can expect some question on Indus Waters Treaty as well. So India and Pakistan signed the Indus Waters Treaty in 1960, right, and the negotiations for this treaty were going on since 1951, so it took over 9 years, and the treaty was signed in Karachi by Prime Minister Nehru and General Ayub Khan. The World Bank acted as the mediator for this Indus Waters Treaty. Now, after the Pahalgam terror attack of last year, India has put Indus Waters Treaty under abeyance, right. Abeyance means basically India has put it on hold or suspension. Now, what is this Indus Waters Treaty? So Indus Waters Treaty basically divides the rivers of Indus Basin. There are total 6 rivers including Indus. So these 6 rivers are divided between India and Pakistan. So how the division has been done? So western rivers have been given to Pakistan, right. They have been given to Pakistan, but India has been allowed non-consumptive use. Non-consumptive use. That means the water flow to Pakistan should remain the same, but India can use it for certain projects such as run of the river hydroelectric projects or for navigation purposes, right. But overall India cannot stop the water from going to Pakistan. The water should flow to Pakistan. And the western rivers are 3 rivers: Indus, Chenab and Jhelum, right. So we can remember it like ICJ, International Court of Justice, ICJ. And eastern rivers are there. Eastern rivers have been allocated 100% to India. India can make use of the waters of these rivers the way it wants, and the rivers are Ravi, Beas and Satluj, RBS, Ravi, Beas and Satluj, right. So But why India has been saying that the treaty is biased in favor of Pakistan? Because 80% of the water flow is in the western rivers and only 20% of the water flow of Indus basin is in the eastern rivers. That is why it seems to be biased in favor of Pakistan. Right, now in exam we can be asked about north to south, the location of these rivers. So north to south, if we look at the western rivers, then Indus is at number the northernmost, then Jhelum, and then Chenab. In case of the eastern rivers, Ravi is at top, followed by Beas, and then followed by Satluj. Now Indus and Satluj, they originate from Mansarovar in Tibet. Right? So the origin of Satluj and Indus, right? These two rivers, the origin is from Tibet, Mansarovar. Right, and Mount Kailash in Tibet, near near Kailash Mansarovar, it is the origin of four important rivers, four very important rivers, and we can remember it like BICS, BIKS. So B is for Brahmaputra. Brahmaputra in Tibet is known as Yarlung Zangbo. Then I is for Indus, K is for Karnali. Karnali becomes Ghagra when it reaches India. So Karnali, the name Karnali is in Nepal, and S is for Satluj, right? So BICS, Brahmaputra, Indus, Karnali, and Satluj. These four rivers originate from Mount Kailash in Tibet. Right, some hydroelectric projects are also in news, and questions can be asked, matching question can be there. So hydroelectric projects by India on the western rivers, and all of these projects have to be run of the river projects, right? Run of the river hydroelectric project means that no water is being stored. No water is being stored, right? So they are unlike the dam based hydro projects, right? So big dams are not there. Run of the river, only diversion of water is done through tunnels, and then water is dropped from a height onto the turbine, and the turbine rotates and electricity is generated. The water is again diverted by tunnels back to the river. So some of the projects which are there in Chenab: Ratle, Baglihar, Salal, Dulhasti, Sabalkot, right? These and Pakaldul and Kiru. All these projects are there in there on Chenab River, right? Chenab River. Only one major project is on Indus River, which is the name is Nimu Bajko. Nimu Bajko, right? So the name is unique. You will remember it. Then on Jhelum, there are some projects such as Kishan Ganga. It is on Jhelum. JK you can remember. Uri and Wooler Barrage, right? Or it is also known as the Tulbul Navigation Project. That is on Jhelum. So these are important projects which we should remember, can be asked in exam. Next, Operation Sindoor was launched by India against Pakistan, right? Basically against the terror infrastructure in Pakistan. On 7th May, right? Then in response, Pakistan launched an operation against India. That the name of the operation was Operation Bunyan un Marsus. The meaning is, it's Arabic, meaning is wall fortified with lead, right? And recently Pakistan's operation against Afghanistan, it is Ghazab Lil Haq, Righteous Fury, right? Righteous Fury. Right, in this map you can see the China-Pakistan economic corridor, which is being built in Pakistan with the help of China, right? So it starts from this place. This place is known as Kashgar in Xinjiang province of China, right? Then it passes through this place, so illegal POK, right? That is why India considers CPEC as violation of its territorial integrity and sovereignty, right? And so it goes like this, and then it reaches up to Gwadar port, right? Here we can see the location of Gwadar port. Gwadar port is located here. Then Pasni port is located here, which has been offered to US by Pakistan. And here we have the Karachi port, right? Karachi port. Now, CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, is part of the BRI. Belt and Road Initiative was launched by China in 2013, and CPEC itself was initiated in 2015. It connects Kashgar in Xinjiang with Gwadar port in Balochistan. Right. Then some more facts we should know. So here we have the location of Chabahar port, right? Chabahar port that India is developing in Iran, and here we have the Gwadar port, and towards further east of Gwadar we will have the Pasni port, right? So the locations we should remember. Then in Oman, I told you India uses one port, which is Lukm port in Oman, right? Then Chagai Hills was in news. Chagai Hills is the place where nuclear tests are conducted by Pakistan. It is located in Balochistan, same as Pokhran for us, right? Chagai Hills are used for nuclear tests by Pakistan. Now another hills were in news last year in Pakistan, which is Kirana Hills. Now Kirana Hills is in Punjab province of Pakistan, and they were in news because they were hit by BrahMos supersonic missiles during Operation Sindoor, right? Kirana Hills. So both Chagai Hills, Balochistan, Kirana Hills, Punjab. Then there's a big copper and gold mine, right, in Balochistan in Pakistan. The name is known as Rekodik, right? Rekodik. It's in Balochistan. It's copper and gold deposits are there. Rekodik. Right. Next we come to Nepal. So Nepal was the only Hindu kingdom in the world till 2008. In 2008, Nepal became a federal democratic secular republic, right? Federal democratic secular republic. India has always followed a two-pillar approach with Nepal: support for monarchy and support for democracy in Nepal. But since 2008, Nepal is no longer a monarchy. It has become a federal democratic secular republic, and the new constitution of Nepal was adopted in 2015, right? And last year Nepal was in news because of the Gen Z revolution, right? So Nepal had a violent Gen Z revolution which led to the fall of KP Oli's government, right? So Gen Z revolution in September 2025. So this has been one of the major development in Nepal, right? And since then, since the Gen Z revolution, there was an interim government in Nepal headed by Sushila Karki. Then Sushila Karki ji had studied from Banaras Hindu University, and she was also the former Chief Justice of Nepal. So she ran the interim government as Prime Minister, and finally there were elections in March 2026 in Nepal, and Balendra Shah has become the new Prime Minister of Nepal. Right. So now let's look at some of the important facts about the Gen Z revolution, right? So there was this social media campaign which was going on in Nepal against the Nepo kids and Nepo babies. So Nepo kids and Nepo babies used the hashtags referred to the children of politicians and bureaucrats and other highly placed officials in Nepal government. The people of Nepal were suffering. They were facing high inflation and high unemployment, right? Whereas the kids of the highly placed officials and ministers, etc., they were enjoying a luxurious life and posting pictures on social media. So there were some groups which started making viral these posts on Nepo kids and Nepo babies, taking pictures from their Facebook accounts and posting it on social media. So it led to a lot of criticism, and the government decided, the KP Oli government decided to ask the social media companies to register with the Nepal government, and a very short deadline was given, and around 25 odd social media platforms were banned, right? So the students started protesting against this, and during the protest there was firing from the police, and 19 school children died in the protest. That led to triggering of violence across Nepal, and the politicians, leaders, bureaucrats, etc., they were attacked, and the positions of authority and power were also attacked in Nepal. And finally KP Oli government had to resign, right? And an interim government was set up, and where Sushila Karki, she was 73 years old, and she was former Chief Justice of Nepal with a very clean track record. So she was made the interim Prime Minister, and the very first thing after becoming Prime Minister, she decided that yes, we'll be holding elections very soon. The date was given, and on that date elections were carried out in Nepal, and recently Balendra Shah has become the Prime Minister, right? Balendra Shah has become the Prime Minister, and he is just 35 or 36 years of age, and his political party is Rashtriya Swatantra Party, RSP. Rashtriya Swatantra Party. RSP, right? Rashtriya Swatantra Party. Now the social media ban was also not liked by the people of Nepal, because 14% of the Nepali people, they because there are not employment opportunities within Nepal, so they have to work abroad, and the only way they can keep in touch with their families back home is through social media apps. So that was also an issue. Now throughout this Gen Z revolution, one app which was very much used by the these youngsters, the Gen Z, was Discord app, right? This is an app which is used generally by the gamers while playing games online. So Discord app was used for communication, and some other apps which were in news last year was Threema app. Threema app was actually used by the terrorists during Delhi blast, right? And Signal app, it was also in news because of some leak of confidential information by US administration officials on the Signal app, right? So that is also used for communication. So these three apps also we should know. Next, we should know about the generations, right, and the years to which they belong. So it starts with the greatest generation, 1901 to 1927, right? Greatest generation. Then came the silent generation from 1928 to 1945. After that, the baby movers from 1946 to 1964. Then came the Gen X from 1965 to 1980. Then the generation Y or millennials from 1981 to 1996. Then comes Gen Z from 1997 to 2012, and Gen Alpha from 2012 to 2024, and Gen Beta from 2025 onwards. Now these generations, how they are named? So they are named basically because something significant has happened during their life, during these years, right? So all the people belonging to a particular generation have had similar life experiences, right? That is why they are categorized into a particular generation. So Gen Z is very important. Sometimes 1995 to 2010 time period is also used, and at times 97 to 2012, right? So these are about the generations. Then Nepal India border is 1751 kilometers, and the largest border is with Bihar, then UP, then Uttarakhand, Sikkim, and then West Bengal, right? Mount Everest is there in Nepal, also known as Sagarmatha, and Nepal's parliament is known as Sanghya Sansad. Sanghya Sansad. Right, he is the new Prime Minister of Nepal, Mr. Balendra Shah. He has also studied in India. Right, he is a Madheshi, that means he is not a Pahadi, he belongs to the plains region of Nepal, and earlier he has been mayor of Kathmandu. He is 35 years of age and he studied in India, and he is also a rapper, right, into rap music. And the party that he joined to contest elections was RSP, Rashtriya Swatantra Party. The founder of RSP is Rabi Lamichhane, right, Rabi Lamichhane, and Nepal's economy is around $45 billion. Right. Next we come to Myanmar. In Myanmar also there has been election and a new president, but Myanmar elections were highly compromised. The main political party, National League of Democracy of Aung San Suu Kyi, was not allowed to contest. So the elections were very much fixed elections by the army. So he is General Min Aung Hlaing. He has become the new president of Myanmar, right? So he has just removed his military uniform and now he is in civilian dresses, but he remains the same general, right? And Rakhine province was in news in context of Myanmar. In Rakhine province, we have the Sitwe port, right, which is being developed by India, Sitwe port, and also Rakhine province was having the Rohingya population, right, who were a genocide was then carried out against the Rohingyas, and most of them have been pushed into Bangladesh, right. Then Myanmar was also in news in context of the free movement regime that is there between India and Myanmar, and it allows for 10 kilometers of free movement. Now this free movement is applicable to only the people, the tribal people residing in the border areas of India and Myanmar. So they can to maintain their close ethnic ties, they are allowed to travel 10 kilometers inside each other's territory, right, but it is not applicable to people like us. So 10 kilometer, earlier it was 16, but now the government has made it or reduced it to 10 kilometers, right, because of the civil war type situation in Myanmar, and also the FMR, there have been reports that it is being misused by militant groups, and it is also a factor in the Manipur violence, right. So that is why the government has taken this decision. Now there was an earthquake in March in Myanmar and Thailand. So India had done one Operation Brahma, right. So like Operation Sagar Bandhu in Sri Lanka in December 2025. So similarly in March 2025 we had done Operation Brahma. It was a humanitarian assistance and disaster relief operation because Myanmar was hit by a big earthquake, and when the Indian military aircrafts were carrying humanitarian assistance to Myanmar, they faced this problem of GPS spoofing, right. GPS spoofing basically means that it's a type of cyber attack in which the navigation signals are wrong navigation signals are given, right. So where the airport is there, it will be shown as a forest area, and where the forest area is there, it will be shown as a airport, right. So it can lead to mishaps. So it's a GPS spoofing is a type of cyber attack. Then Kaladan multimodal project, this is a connectivity project between India and Myanmar, and it is facing delays because of the situation in Myanmar. So in this multimodal project, we have to travel from Kolkata by sea to Sitwe port, then from Sitwe to Paletwa by boat on the Kaladan river, and then from Paletwa by road to Mizoram border, right. So this is the Kaladan multimodal project. Then we can see in the Myanmar map some of the important places. Now two historical references are also here. One is Rangoon, right, Rangoon, also known as Yangon, right. So in Rangoon, Bahadur Shah Zafar II, he was exiled by the Britishers after the revolt of 1857, right? And the other place is Mandalay. In Mandalay in central Myanmar, Bal Gangadhar Tilak was exiled, right, by the British Empire, and he wrote a book, Gita Rahasya here, right, Gita Rahasya, right, and we can see that Tropic of Cancer cuts Myanmar, right, and Sitwe port is here. Here we have the Sitwe port. Then here only we have another port which is known as Kyaikpiu, right. This is the Chinese port, Kyaikpiu. It is being developed by China, and right, the capital Naypyidaw or Naypyidaw is located here in central Myanmar, right. So these are the important things that we need to look at in this map. Right, then this map is also very important. It is showing two important straits, right, Strait of Hormuz and Strait of, so here we have the Strait of Hormuz, and here we have Bab el Mandab, and Bab el Mandab, which is also known as Gate of Tears, right. The Bab el Mandab connects Red Sea to Gulf of Aden, right. Red Sea, this is the Red Sea, and this is connected with Gulf of Aden. The Strait of Hormuz connects Persian Gulf with Gulf of Oman, right, and 50% of India's crude oil imports passes through Strait of Hormuz, and at its narrowest point it is just 33 kilometers wide, the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz is territorially governed by three countries, Oman, UAE and Iran, right. So these three countries have territories around the Strait of Hormuz, and 20% of global oil passes through Strait of Hormuz, right. So very important, this Strait of Hormuz and Bab el Mandab. Why this is known as Gate of Tears, Bab el Mandab? It is said that it is again a very difficult area to navigate, and that is why the name is given symbolically, Gate of Tears, that sometimes the navigators, they had tears in their eyes while crossing this area, and that is why Gate of Tears. Right, so we have already seen the generations. Just one more thing about the generations, that the generations, they have similar life experiences, and it refers to people born in a specific period, right. Now the generations I have already told you, 1900 to 1927, the greatest generation, 1928 to 1945, silent generation, 46 to 64, baby boomers, 65 to 79, Gen X, 1980 to 1994, Gen Y or millennials, 95 to 2009, Gen Z, also 97 to 2012, right, or 2011, basically this time period is also used. Then 2012 to 2024, right, is Gen Alpha, and then 2025 to 2039 is Gen Beta, right. And those who share similar life experiences, they are known as cohorts. So this word also we should know, cohorts, a group of people who share a common characteristic experience or behavior over a specific period, right. So after the Gen Z revolution, there were many such protests throughout the world, right, especially, right, but the most dramatic was in Nepal. So in Nepal we had Gen Z revolution, or protest. The most dramatic was definitely in Nepal, but there were others in Indonesia, right. Then there was in Madagascar, also there was in Morocco, right. So these were the places which have experienced Gen Z revolution or protest, right, but the most dramatic was in Nepal, where it led to the regime change. Right. So also in Philippines, right? So I can add Philippines here. So there in Philippines. Right. So Gen Z protests in Madagascar, Philippines, Nepal, Indonesia, and also in Morocco. Right. And what is common about the Gen Z? So they are digital natives, like they are very comfortable with using of digital technology. So they are comfortable with technology, they are socially conscious, they have grown up with smartphones, social media and internet, and they are also mental health advocates, like they talk a lot about mental health. So this is Gen Z for you. Next we come to Bhutan, our best friend in the neighborhood. So Bhutan was in news for Prime Minister Modi's visit, right? Bhutan has become a constitutional monarchy since 2008. Prime Minister is Sherin Tobge and the king is Jigme Khesar Namgyal Wangchuk. And he is the fifth king of Bhutan. Right, Prime Minister Modi visited Bhutan in November 2025 to attend a global peace prayer festival organized by Bhutan, and also to participate in the 70th birthday celebration of the fourth king, the father of the present king. And he also inaugurated, very important, this hydroelectric project Punat Sangchu 1. So name of this hydroelectric project can be asked, Punat Sangchu hydroelectric project, in matching question. So we should know 1020 megawatts. And in this global peace prayer festival, India sent Preah relics to Bhutan for this global peace prayer festival. Now Buddhism is of mainly three types. So Mahayana Buddhism, Hinayan Buddhism or Theravada, which is way of elders, and Vajrayana. Right? So these three types are there. Vajrayana is more popular in Bhutan. Vajrayana is more popular in Bhutan. Now there are some major hydroelectric projects set up in Bhutan with Indian assistance. So Chukha is there, Tala is there, Mangdechu is there, Kurichu is there, and the latest one is Punat Sangchu 1. Punat Sangchu 1. Right. And Bhutan was a least developed country, but it has come out of that list in December 2023. Right. And Bhutan is also the world's first carbon negative country. That means it absorbs more carbon than it emits. Right. Other two carbon negative countries in the world are Suriname and Panama. Panama in Central America and Suriname in South America. Right. Then Bhutan is also developing a smart city project, Galephu. It is on Assam-Bhutan border and it will be like a special administrative region. India is also extending full support to Bhutan for this Galephu smart city project. Right. Bhutan is also known as Land of Thunder Dragon. Then this is Sikkim, right, and here we have Bhutan. So this area is known as Chumbi Valley, right, in the tri-junction of Bhutan, India and China, right. Then we have the capital Thimphu here, then the airport Paro, then here is the location of Galephu, right, this is the location of Galephu. Then Bhutan has recently joined Starlink, and it became the first country in South Asia to join Starlink. Starlink is the satellite based internet service provided by SpaceX, Elon Musk company. Now Bhutan has become the first one. After Bhutan, the other countries which have joined Starlink in South Asia are Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, they have also joined this Starlink. Right, India has not joined it so far. Then there's a mountain pass, Jalepla, on the Sikkim side, right? Jalepla on Sikkim. Then another mountain pass is there in, so this Jalepla connects Sikkim to Tibet region of China, and there is another pass which is known as Nathula. Nathula is also in Sikkim. So Nathula and Jalepla both are in Sikkim. They connect with the Tibet region of China. Right, let us see something about the Preah relics. So In 2025, a portion of Preah relics was repatriated to India after Godrej Industrial House purchased it from an auction in Hong Kong. Right now, originally the Preah relics they were excavated in 1898. Right, 1898. So this year we should remember 1898, and the person involved in the excavation was William Claxton Pepe. William Claxton Pepe. Now, the inscription on Preah relics was found in Brahmi script on one of the casket, right? And these Preah relics are supposed to be the bone fragments, crystal caskets, gold ornaments, and other ritual offerings, and they are the remains of Lord Buddha, right? So that is why Preah relics are very, very important, right? Very, very important, and they have been classified as AA antiquities. India classifies them with highest protection, right? Highest protection, AA antiquities. So this is about the Preah relics, and they were found in a place called Kapilavastu, right, which is known as Kapilavastu in India near Siddharth Nagar in Uttar Pradesh. Right. Then little bit about Buddha also we should know here. So Buddha was born in Lumbini as Prince Siddharth. Right, Lumbini is in Nepal. Then he got enlightenment at Bodh Gaya in Bihar, and the first sermon that he gave was in Sarnath, UP, and the Mahaparinirvan, when he left his body or his soul left his body, that was in Kushinagar in Uttar Pradesh, right? So Lumbini, then Bodh Gaya, then Sarnath, and Kushinagar, LBSK we should remember, right? Lumbini, Bodh Gaya, Sarnath, and Kushinagar. Right, then he was born as Prince Siddharth. Wife was Yashodhara, son was Rahul, and he is also known as Shakyamuni, right? Mother Mahamaya and father Sudodhan. So these names are associated and important. Then time period is believed to be 563 to 483 before Common Era. So this is about Lord Buddha. Right. So in Bangladesh, now let's look at Bangladesh. So in Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina government fell down in 2024. Right. So there was this student protest in 2024 in Bangladesh, and which led to the fall of Sheikh Hasina regime, right, in 2024. And after that, interim government was formed with Mohammad Yunus as the chief advisor. Mohammad Yunus is founder of Grameen Bank, a microfinance institution, and he is also Nobel Peace Prize winner in 2006. Right now, he headed the interim government. Interim government finally called for elections in February 2026. Elections happened in Bangladesh, but Awami League, the political party of Sheikh Hasina, was not allowed to contest. So this was not allowed to contest, and the elections were won by Bangladesh Nationalist Party, led by Tariq Rahman. And Tariq Rahman is the son of former Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Begum Khalida Zia, who died this year. So this is important fact. We should know that now the new Prime Minister of Bangladesh is Tariq Rahman. Right, and the students who led the protest against Sheikh Hasina, they had also established or formed a political party known as NCP, National Citizens Party, but they did not perform very well in the elections. Right, and the elections in February 2026, the name of the parliament of Bangladesh is Jatiya Sangsad, and Sanghiya Sansad was the name of the Nepalese parliament. Right, so in the elections of February 2026, Bangladesh Nationalist Party won 2/3 majority, and Tariq Rahman has become the new Prime Minister. Now, during this election, there was also a referendum on the July National Charter. So this term also we should remember, July National Charter. So this July National Charter is basically for bringing out some reforms in the judicial, political and administrative system of Bangladesh to ensure that there is no repeat of authoritarianism in Bangladesh, right. So it was brought by the interim government and a referendum was held along with the elections, right. So it also has received around 50 to 60% support in the referendum, right. So July National Charter is an outcome of the student uprising of 2024. It talks about judicial reforms, two-term limit for Prime Minister and caretaker government for elections, right. So Bangladesh Nationalist Party is not very interested in this national charter, but overall this has also been passed in the referendum. Another community which was in news in context of Bangladesh is Matua community. So in West Bengal also elections were there. Now this Matua community is in Bangladesh also, and some members of this community also live in West Bengal, right. And it comprised of basically Hindu Nam Shudras with roots in Bangladesh, and they were in news in context of Citizenship Amendment Act 2019. Now this Matua community, this thing was founded in 1860s by Harichand Thakur in Orakandi in Bangladesh, right. So this name also we should remember with Matua community, Harichand Thakur in Orakandi in Bangladesh. He is the new Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Tariq Rahman. Bangladesh Nationalist Party, Prime Minister of Bangladesh. Then here we can look at the map of Bangladesh. So Dhaka is here. Then some important ports, Mongla port is here. Then Chittagong port or Chattogram port is here. Here it is the Cox's Bazar. Now Cox's Bazar is also famous for the largest Rohingya refugee camp. Which is at Cox's Bazar at a place called Kutupalong. And right here we can see that Ganga river is flowing into Bangladesh and it becomes Padma, right. It becomes Padma in Bangladesh, and Brahmaputra is flowing like this, and Brahmaputra becomes Jamuna in Bangladesh, Jamuna, right. And they meet and they become Jamuna, and then they meet with Meghna, right. So Meghna, and they finally become Meghna only, and Meghna is basically the Barak river which is flowing from Manipur. Now we come to our largest neighbor, that is China. Right. So in context of China we need to know these things, that there was talk about G2, which is group of two comprising of US and China, and it was first proposed in 2009, but the idea was dropped in 2011. Again under Donald Trump, this idea has been floated in G2, and there was a meeting of Xi Jinping and Donald Trump in Busan last year, right. It was on the sidelines of the APEC 2025 summit. The APEC summit was actually held in Gyeongju, right. APEC summit was held in Gyeongju, South Korea, right. And the president of China is Xi Jinping. He is president since 2013, and the foreign minister is Wang Yi, right. Then China is also developing a military base in a Coco Island, right. Coco Island is just to the north of Andaman and Nicobar group of islands, between Myanmar and Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So Coco Island is very strategic, and it is the island of Myanmar, but it has been leased to China, and China is establishing monitoring and surveillance facilities here to monitor India, right. Then China was also in news in context of this gray zone warfare. So these are coercive actions which is midway between peace and open war, right? So China indulges in such grey warfare tactics, and one of the ways is salami slicing. China is also known for salami slicing. So these are incremental, small scale covert actions such as border encroachments to slowly gain territory, right? So it is like salami is like this. So what China tries to do, that gradually, incrementally, it tries to encroach on areas of other countries, right? Then China recently inducted its third aircraft carrier, Fujian. US has 11 aircraft carriers. So that is why US remains the superpower in the world, only superpower. Then India overtook China in population in 2023. So now India is the country with the largest population in the world. Now India has also overtaken China in rice production this year. So in 2026 itself, we have overtaken China in rice production, and India has become number one in rice production. But then it comes with a challenge also. The challenge is that we are not very efficient in growing rice. We use lot of water as compared to rest of the world. Approximately 3000 to 4000 liters of water is required to produce 1 kg of rice in India, which is 20 to 60% more water than global average for rice production, right? So it is in fact a problem for India that we have become the number one rice producer in the world, because water consumption is increasing because of this. Then during our AI Impact Summit, there was an incident involving a private university of India, which showcased a Chinese robo dog as its dog, and or dog made by its students. So the name of the company we should know. It's a Chinese robotics company. The name is Unitree, and its robodog was in news for the wrong reasons during AI Impact Summit 2026. Unitree stands for Universe Tree. Universe Tree. Right. China was also in news because of this mega dam that it is planning to build, or in fact the construction has already started, and the name of the dam is Madok Dam, right? And it is being built near the Great Bend area, right, where Yarlung Zangbo takes a sharp U-turn to enter Arunachal Pradesh, right? And this is going to be a mega dam, 60,000 megawatts, right? The largest dam which is under construction in India is around 2000 megawatts, and this is 60,000. So you can see the difference in the scale, and it is a $170 billion project, right? The mega dam is going to be built on Yarlung Zangbo River, which is the name of Brahmaputra in Tibet, right? And it enters Arunachal Pradesh at a place called Jaling, right? So this name also we should remember, Jaling, right? So it enters Arunachal Pradesh at this place called Jaling, right? China already has the world's biggest dam in Three Gorges Dam, which is having capacity of 22,500 megawatts, but now this is going to be almost 3 times the size of Three Gorges Dam. And Three Gorges Dam was inaugurated in 2012, and it's on Yangtze River, right? So UPSC can ask about Three Gorges Dam as well, right? So we should be prepared. Then about the Brahmaputra's course, right? So Brahmaputra originates from Mount Kailash. Already we have seen that 4 rivers originate here: Brahmaputra, Indus, Karnali, and Satluj. So Yarlung Zangbo is the name of Brahmaputra in Tibet. Then when it enters Arunachal at Zeling, its name changes to Siang, right? Siang. It is also known by the name Dihang, Siang or Dihang, same name, right? Same river. Then when it reaches Assam plains, it becomes Brahmaputra, and when it reaches Bangladesh, it becomes Jamuna. Then it merges with Meghna, and finally goes into Bay of Bengal, right? So Yarlung Zangbo, then Siang or Dihang in Arunachal Pradesh, then Brahmaputra in Assam, and Jamuna in Bangladesh, right? So this is the sequence that we should remember. Then another news related to China was about Dalai Lama, right? So Dalai Lama's 90th birthday was celebrated last year, and Tibet was annexed by China in 1950, right? The current Dalai Lama, who is the 14th Dalai Lama, right? His original name is Tenzin Gyatso, and he came to India in 1959. Like China annexed Tibet in 1950. There was a revolt in 1959, and it was suppressed by China by force. So Dalai Lama with his followers came to India, and he was offered asylum by India. Now, the first Dalai Lama, it's an institution, so it was established in 1411, and it's a institution which has continued since then, and the present one is 14th Dalai Lama. Now, Dalai Lama is the spiritual and temporal head of the Tibetans all over the world. The successor of Dalai Lama, so this question is getting raised as Dalai Lama's age is now 90 years. So, successor will be decided by the Gedin Phodrang Trust of 2011, right? And Gedin Phodrang, why this trust was set up by 14th Dalai Lama in 2011. Now, this Gedin Phodrang, it was the name of the government established by the 5th Dalai Lama. That is why this name, Gedin Phodrang. And the present Dalai Lama, 14th Dalai Lama, he stays at Dharamshala in Himachal Pradesh. So, these are some facts we should know about Dalai Lama ji. Right. Then Kailash Mansarovar Yatra has been resumed by India and China. So, that was also in news. Now, at present, it takes place through two routes, right? Lipu Lake route and Nathula route. Lipu Lake route is in Uttarakhand, right? Uttarakhand. And Nathula route is in Sikkim. Right. So, Lipu Lake and Sikkim. Now, Mansarovar is the freshwater lake, and at Mount Kailash there are two lakes in Mansarovar. Mansarovar is the freshwater lake, and there is also Rakshastal. It is a saltwater lake. Mount Kailash is holy for four religions. Hindus, obviously, then Buddhists, obviously, Jains. For Jains also it is holy, and there is a Tibetan Bon tradition, right? So, Bon religion is also there. It's a indigenous religion of Tibet. So, Hindus, Buddhists, Jains, and Bons, right? So, HBJB, that is how we can remember. And origin of four rivers from Mount Kailash we have already seen: Brahmaputra, Indus, Karnali, and Satluj. Karnali becomes Ghagra when it enters India from Nepal. Right. Then Press Note 3 was also in news. Then it was issued in 2020. It says that investment from all countries sharing land border with India would need center's approval first, right? So, generally for FDI, we have a red carpet welcome, but because of the threat we face from China, so in 2020, this Press Note 3 was released, and it said that with all the countries with whom we are sharing land borders, the center's approval would be needed first, right? It would not be automatic approval case, but now it has been relaxed because India-China relations are now going towards normalization again. So, it has been amended in March 2026 to relax the conditions for investment coming from neighboring countries like China. So, the ownership stake of the country has to be less than 10%. In that case, this is allowed, right? So, relaxation has been allowed. So, we should remember Press Note 3, it is concerned with FDI coming from countries with which we are sharing land borders. It has now been relaxed, right? Then China had filed a complaint in WTO, World Trade Organization, against India on the PLI scheme, right? And the PLI scheme for EVs, electric vehicles, and advanced chemistry cells, right? So, in PLI scheme, there is a domestic content requirement. China said that it violates the WTO norms, right? And it also said that India is providing subsidies to its companies, right? And so, that was the case which was brought by China against India in WTO, right, on PLI scheme. But here we should also see WTO. So, World Trade Organization headquarters is in Geneva, Switzerland, established on 1st January 1995, and there are at present 166 members. 2 members were added in 2024, Comoros, African country, and Timor-Leste, right? Timor-Leste, the Southeast Asian country, right? And the WTO basically succeeded GATT, General Agreement on Trade and Tariff, in 1948, right? The Director General of WTO at present is Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, right? Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, and she comes from Nigeria, right? So her name can also be asked. Then recently, why WTO was in news, and very important is that in 2026 itself, we had a ministerial conference. Ministerial conferences of WTO are held biennially, like once in 2 years. So there was a ministerial conference 14, right? MC14 was held at Yaoundé in Cameroon, right? So very important, in March 2026, and this was the 14th ministerial conference. So Yaoundé in Cameroon, right? So you should look up the location as well, Yaoundé. And one very important thing happened here in WTO Ministerial Conference 14. It was hosted by Cameroon at Yaoundé, but there is this e-commerce moratorium, right? E-commerce moratorium, which was continuing since 1998. Since 1998, this e-commerce moratorium was continuing, but this time it was not extended in 2026. Right. So what has happened, why it has been not extended, and what is the implication? So the e-commerce moratorium basically means that the countries will not tax the electronic this softwares, etc., right? So these things will not be taxed. So this was benefiting the developed countries more, because most of these IT companies are based in the developed world, and the developing countries were losing out on revenues. So India and other developing countries, they were against this e-commerce moratorium, but still every time it was getting renewed for another 2 years. But this time in this WTO ministerial at Yaoundé in Cameroon, this was not extended, right? So this is the biggest news from WTO MC14, right? So it ended without consensus due to disagreements over the e-commerce moratorium, right, which has been in place since 1998. Now the WTO members will no longer be legally prevented from taxing electronic transmissions, right? So now electronic transmissions can be taxed, right? So this is a major outcome of the WTO MC14. Then in context of China, China hosted this SCO Summit of 2025 at Tianjin in China. So it's a very important summit, and the SCO defense ministers meet was also hosted by China at Qingdao. So both the places you should look up on Atlas. So hosted by China at Tianjin, and the defense ministers meet was hosted by China at Qingdao. Now what was the theme of this summit? Right, so the theme was upholding the Shanghai spirit, SCO on the move. So theme is very important, because generally for any summits, the any new member country added, that is asked, the place where the summit was hosted, right, and the theme. So these are some very important things which we should know about any summit. So theme was upholding the Shanghai spirit, SCO on the move. Tianjin Declaration was adopted. It strongly condemned terrorism, including the Pahalgam terror attack. Prime Minister Modi attended the SCO Summit, and very important is that Laos, the Southeast Asian country, it has joined as a partner country. Right? It has joined as a partner country, not as a member country. So SCO has member countries as well as partner countries. So Laos has joined as a partner country, and now there are 17 partner countries and 10 member countries. So overall 27 countries which are associated with SCO. Now this global governance initiative was proposed by China. It is proposed to promote sovereign equality, multilateralism and just global order. Now 2025 was declared by SCO as Year of Sustainable Development also. Year of Sustainable Development. Now let's look at SCO. So SCO was established in 2001 and it was a successor organization of Shanghai 5. Shanghai 5, right, which was established in 1996. So when Uzbekistan also joined this Shanghai 5, so it transformed into SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. The headquarters is very importantly not in Shanghai but in Beijing. Right, the name has Shanghai in it, but headquarters is in Beijing. Then it comprises of 23% of global GDP and 42% of global population. It has two permanent structures. One is the headquarters or secretariat at Beijing. The other one is regional anti-terrorist structure located in Tashkent in Uzbekistan. There are 10 members at present and 17 partner countries. So altogether 27. Now, who are the founding members? So Russia, China, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, right? So these 5 were actually part of the Shanghai 5, which was formed in 1996. Uzbekistan joins in 2001 and it becomes SCO. Then next 2 members were India and Pakistan, which joined in 2017. Then Iran joined in 2023 and Belarus joined in 2024. Right, so these are the 10 member countries and Laos is the latest 17th partner country. Right, China was also in news for the Justice Mission 2025. These were war games by China in the Taiwan Straits. So China has problem with Taiwan. And in context of Taiwan issue, China has this one China policy which says that any country wanting to have relationship with mainland China, that is the communist China, then it should not have diplomatic relations with Taiwan, right? And Taiwan is known as Republic of China, whereas the mainland China is known as People's Republic of China, right? Both came into existence in 1949. Now Taiwan has security umbrella given by US, right? And US follows a policy of strategic ambiguity with respect to Taiwan. Now, China also has another policy which is known as one country, two systems, where China is a communist country, but Hong Kong and Macau, they are allowed to operate as capitalist economies, right? So, one country, two systems. So, Hong Kong was taken back by China from UK in 1997, whereas Macau was taken back in 1999 from Portugal. Now, China does not allow countries to have diplomatic relations with Taiwan, right, which is part of the one China policy. One country, two systems applies to Hong Kong and Macau. Right. Then another thing was in news, which is K visa, right? K visa. So China has issued this K visa. It has been launched by China and aimed at foreign science and technology students who meet certain conditions and requirements, right? So there has been some issue between China and Philippines, that was also in news. So Spratly Islands, Scarborough Shoal and Second Thomas Shoal, right? All these were in or disputed between China and Philippines in South China Sea. Right, so here we can see that South China Sea disputes mainly Paracel Islands, right? So all the locations you have to see on atlas, right? I'll tell you how to remember it. So Paracel Islands, you remember color TV, right? CTV. So China is one party, Vietnam is one party, and Taiwan, right? So these three countries, they claim Paracel Islands. Spratly Islands, again color TV is there, and BP, right? BP is there. So you are watching color TV and your blood pressure of maybe your parents is rising. So that is how you can remember. So it is Brunei and Philippines, China, Taiwan, Vietnam, Brunei and Philippines. Then Scarborough Shoal, it is CTP, right? So China, Taiwan and Philippines. Second Thomas Shoal, China and Philippines. Sabina Shoal, China and Philippines, right? And this Second Thomas Shoal and Sabina Shoal, they are part of the Spratly Islands. Right, next is the rare earth elements. So rare earth elements were also in news, and China has a stranglehold over the rare earth elements. First of all, these rare earth elements, they are not particularly rare, right? They are available in sufficient quantities, right? Now they comprise of 17 metals as per International Energy Agency, and promethium is not included in the list of rare earth elements as it is radioactive and does not occur in mineable quantities. Now, where the rare earth elements are used mainly, so they are used in clean technology, electric vehicles, smartphones, hard drives, wind turbines, defense applications, etc. So all the new technology areas, they are much in demand. Now, China holds half of the global rare earth element reserves. It has 92% refining of global capacity and largest producer of rare earth elements as well as largest exporter, right. So China has a stranglehold over the rare earth elements. Right, next we look at Japan. So Japan was in news because there is a new female prime minister in Japan, the first female prime minister in Japan, and her name is Sane Takaichi, right, and the political party is the Liberal Democratic Party, right, LDP, Liberal Democratic Party. Then Japan had become the 5th country to soft land on moon by its SLIM mission in 2024. So smart lander for investigating moon. Now Prime Minister Modi's visit to Japan was in August 2025 and he participated in the 15th annual India-Japan Summit. Some exercises that we do, joint exercises, one is Dharma Guardian, other is Malabar exercise, which has now become exercise for Quad countries. So it started as a bilateral exercise between India and US, then Japan joined to make it trilateral, and now Australia has also joined. So all the Quad members are participating. Now Prime Minister Modi, when he was in Japan, he was gifted a Daruma doll, which is based on Indian monk Bodhidharma, and he is regarded as the founder of Jain Buddhism, right? Jain Buddhism, right? Then Japan has territorial issues with China over Senkaku Island or Diaoyu Island, right. These islands are administered by Japan but also claimed by China. Right, then there was the news about fragile 5 countries, fragile 5. So Prime Minister Modi had used this term saying that India has now moved out of the fragile 5. So what is fragile 5? So this term was actually coined by Morgan Stanley analyst James Lord in 2013, and it referred to 5 economies which were facing high current account deficit, high dependency on foreign investment, plus slowing economic growth, right. So these were the conditions, and these 5 economies were Brazil, India, South Africa, Turkey and Indonesia, right. So now India has moved out of this list as per the government. So how you can remember BISTI, you can remember BISTI acronym. So Brazil, India, South Africa, Brazil, India, South Africa, Turkey and Indonesia. Right. Then cheetahs were in news because President Murmu, Draupadi Murmu ji, she visited Botswana, the African country Botswana, and agreement was signed between India and Botswana that around 8 cheetahs will be given by Botswana to India, right, for the cheetah reintroduction program. So now 3 countries, Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita we can remember. So from Botswana 9 cheetahs, then from Namibia also and from South Africa as well, right. We have got cheetahs, and they have all been brought to Kuno National Park in Madhya Pradesh, but 2 alternative locations are also being developed. One is Gandhi Sagar Wildlife Sanctuary, where in Madhya Pradesh itself, where cheetahs have already been introduced, and Nauradehi Wildlife Sanctuary, which is another backup for cheetah reintroduction. Right, so Nauradehi and Gandhi Sagar also we should remember. Project Cheetah is managed by the NTCA, National Tiger Conservation Authority, headed by the Union Environment Minister. Then Asiatic cheetah is found only in Iran, but we have brought African cheetahs. Now cheetah became extinct from India in 1952, right? This also we should remember. Even in Iran, very few cheetahs are left. Right. Now let's look at some of the important water bodies which were in news and can be asked in exam. First is Strait of Hormuz. So we should know that these straits connect which two water bodies. So it connects Persian Gulf with Gulf of Oman, and the countries which have territorial waters in the Strait of Hormuz, they are Iran, Oman and UAE, right, and its narrowest point, it is only 33 km wide. And second one is Bab el Mandab, Gate of Tears. It connects Red Sea with Gulf of Aden. Then you have Strait of Malacca, which is the longest strait in the world, and it connects Andaman Sea with South China Sea, specifically. Otherwise, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia and Thailand, these countries are uh, around that region, okay, where Strait of Malacca is located. And China faces the Malacca dilemma, right? So there's a Malacca dilemma which China faces, and this is because this acts like a Malacca, Strait of Malacca acts like a choke point for China. Much of its energy imports and trade flows through this Malacca Strait, and the strait can be actually blocked by rival countries. So that is the reason behind the Malacca dilemma which is faced by China. That is why China is interested in developing ports such as Gwadar, which gives it an alternative, though Malacca is more convenient for it, right. So it connects Andaman Sea with South China Sea, and it is the longest strait. Then we have Strait of Bosphorus. It acts as a boundary between Asia and Europe, right. So very important, acts as a boundary between Asia and Europe. And Sea of Marmara is connected to Black Sea by this. Sea of Marmara is connected to Black Sea by this. Then there is Strait of Dardanelles, which connects Aegean Sea to the Sea of Marmara. Aegean Sea to the Sea of Marmara. Then Kerch Strait is there, which connects Black Sea to the Sea of Azov, right. And you can remember some of these straits or the water bodies in one sequence by this acronym. So suppose you have a friend who has become ADM, right, additional district magistrate, and his name is Bharat Bhushan, and he wants to go to Karnataka, right. So ADM Bharat Bhushan wants to go to Karnataka, right. So ADM BBK. Now A stands for Aegean Sea, right, Aegean Sea. Then D stands for Strait of Dardanelles, Dardanelles. M stands for Sea of Marmara. The first B stands for Strait of Bosphorus, and the other B stands for Black Sea. Then Strait of Kerch and Sea of Azov, right. So ADM BBK. So that is how you can maybe remember it in sequence. Next are two artificial channels that have been created. One is Suez Canal. It carries 12% of global trade, and it was initiated in 1869 or operationalized in 1869, which is the same as birth year of Mahatma Gandhi. So you can connect it with that information also, and it is 193 km long. So it connects Mediterranean Sea to Red Sea. So on Mediterranean Sea you have Port Said, and on Red Sea you have Suez, right. Then Panama Canal is there, which was operationalized in 1914, right, and 1914 to 1979 it was controlled by US. Full control was handed over to Panama in 1999, but Donald Trump in his second term, he has been demanding control of Panama Canal as well, right. And Panama Canal basically connects Caribbean Sea and the Pacific Ocean, or we can say Atlantic Ocean and Pacific Ocean. It is based on lock system for which water is taken from Gatun Lake, right. So this lake is also very important, very scenic place, this Panama Channel or Panama Canal, right. Then there is a No Kings protest which is taking place in parts of US, and it is against the authoritarianism of Donald Trump, right. A loose but rapidly expanding coalition against President Trump. And then US is also blockading Cuba. The motive is to change the regime. So there was a agreement, or there was an arrangement between Venezuela and Cuba which was known as Doctors for Fuel arrangement between Venezuela and Cuba, under which Cuba was getting oil in return for sending doctors to Venezuela, right. So Cuba is oil dependent country and 83% power generated from oil, and Venezuela has the world's largest proven oil reserves. Right, some of the leaders, the new leaders, new Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Tariq Rahman, Bangladesh Nationalist Party, President of Myanmar, General Min Aung Hlaing, Prime Minister of Nepal, Balendra Shah, Rashtriya Swatantra Party, Iran, the new supreme leader after assassination of Ayatollah Khamenei is his son Mojtaba Khamenei, and the President of Iran is Masoud Pezeshkian. Right, again let's look at the Strait of Hormuz area and some of the important places that we need to remember. Right, so this is the Strait of Hormuz area. This is the Strait of Hormuz. 20% of global oil supplies transit from Strait of Hormuz, and we also have an important port of UAE here, which is known as Jebel Ali port. Right, Jebel Ali port of UAE. Right, and the world's largest natural gas field is located here. Right, this is the South Pars field, how it is called by Iran, and North field by Qatar. Right, so this gas field, which is the world's largest, it is divided into half between Qatar and Iran. Right, then there's a very important island which is known as Kharg Island. Right, Kharg Island in the Persian Gulf. Right, it holds Iran's main oil export terminal. Right, so this is holding Iran's main oil terminal. Then on the Qatar side of this South Pars gas field, known as North Field of Qatar, there is this Ras Laffan LNG export facility of Qatar, which accounts for 20% of LNG supply in the world. Right, so this is very, very important. Kharg Island, Iran; Ras Laffan facility, Qatar; South Pars gas field, Iran. Right, Strait of Hormuz, 3 countries, UAE, Iran and Oman. So very, very important. Right, question is very much expected here. Right, then Erbil, it's in Iraq and it is capital of Iraq's autonomous Kurdistan region. Now the Kurds, just like Baluch I told you, are divided into between 3 countries. They do not have a state of their own, so divided among Afghanistan, Iran and Pakistan. Similarly, Kurds, they also do not have a country of their own, and they are divided among Syria, Iraq, Turkey and Iran. Right, then there was this term in news, no quarter rules. It was term used by the US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, and no quarter rules is actually prohibited under international law. So this refers to prohibited rule of engagement, where combatants are ordered not to take prisoners but instead to kill enemy forces, including those attempting to surrender. Like, it means you will kill even those who are attempting to surrender. Right, and no quarter rules are banned under the Hague Convention of 1907. Right, then Operation Sankalp was in news because of the blockade of Strait of Hormuz. So it was launched in June 2019 by India to ensure safe passage to Indian flagged vessels through critical sea lanes. Right, so Operation Sankalp. So we should know this. Then false flag operation. This was also a term which was in news very often. So false flag operations means a misleading operation, right, which is to deceive someone. So it is a staged attack or hostile action designed to look like it was committed by another party, used to justify war, manipulate public perception or shift blame. Right, so that is a false flag operation. Now let's look at the operation. So Diego Garcia we have already seen. It is part of Chagos Island and it has a US defense base. It is part of Mauritius and location is towards south of Maldives. Then some important operations carried out by US, Israel and Iran. Right, the name of operations we should know. In June 2025, US launched this operation Midnight Hammer against Iran, where it targeted the 3 nuclear sites by bunker buster bombs, Fordo, Isfahan and Natanz in Iran. Fordo, Isfahan and Natanz in Iran. right? Then in February 2026, it launched the Operation Epic Fury, right? Operation Epic Fury. In Venezuela, the operation done by US was Operation Absolute Resolve to kidnap Nicolas Maduro. Then Israel in June 2025 had done the operation against Iran, which was Rising Lion. In February 2026, the operation has become Roaring Lion. Iran's operation or retaliation against the June 2025 attack was True Promise 3, and February 2026 it has launched True Promise 4 in retaliation. Right. So these are the names of operation. It will be a very easy question if it is asked in exam, so we should be ready for it. Okay. Next is there was an Iranian ship which was attacked near Sri Lanka, right, by US. So Iranian ship sunk by US submarine using torpedo just outside Sri Lankan territorial waters. Name was Iris Dana, and it had come to attend an international fleet review in Visakhapatnam organized by Indian Navy. Right, so it was returning from International Fleet Review 2026 organized by Indian Navy at Visakhapatnam. Iris Dana. Right. Then Israel has been accused of chemical attack in Lebanon. So white phosphorus was in news in context of that. Now white phosphorus is not explicitly banned as a chemical weapon, but its use in populated areas is restricted under international law. Right. So it's not explicitly banned, but its use in populated areas is regulated or is restricted under international law. Now what is white phosphorus? It's an incendiary agent. It causes burns, and it is used by militaries for creating smoke screens, illumination, and as a weapon to conceal troop movement, right? So that is white phosphorus. That it was in news because of that. Then we should also know the Chemical Weapons Convention, which regulates chemical weapons. So it's a multilateral treaty banning chemical weapons, and it came into force in 1997. Now the implementation of Chemical Weapons Convention is done by Organization for Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, OPCW. It had received Nobel Peace Prize in 2013, and its headquarters is at the Hague. Right, there's another grouping which also controls it, which is an informal group. So that is Australia Group. It was established in 1985 and India joined in 2018. So it's an informal group of countries which through harmonization of export controls seeks to ensure that exports do not contribute to development of biological or chemical weapons. So ABC you can remember. Australia Group controls biological and chemical weapons or exports of things which can be used as chemical or biological weapons. ABC. Right, next we come to Lebanon. So Lebanon, the capital is Beirut, and it is part of Levant, right? This region, Levant region, can also be asked in exam. The historical geographic region along eastern Mediterranean shores, Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, Israel, Palestine, and parts of Turkey. Right? So they comprise of the Levant region. So these countries you should know. Then Lebanon has a unique political power sharing system among major communities, which is known as a confessional system. So Lebanon has a confessional system of sharing of power among major communities, under which the president is always a Christian, the prime minister is always a Sunni Muslim, and the speaker is always a Shia Muslim, right? And in Lebanon, a very powerful militant and political group is there, which is known as Hezbollah. The literal meaning is Party of God, and it's a Shia political and military group active in Lebanon. Now some places which were in news, right? The Litani River, Bekaa Valley, Tripoli. Tripoli is also in Libya, but here we are talking about Tripoli in Lebanon, right? Then a place called Tyre and Sidon, right? So all these places were in news in context of Lebanon. So you should look it up in Atlas. Let me show you this. Here we have the Bekaa Valley, right? Then the Litani River, right? So this is the Litani River, and this is the place called Tyre. This is the capital Beirut. Sidon is here, right? So these are some of the important places in Lebanon, right? Then in this context, the blue line was also in news. So blue line is a demarcation line, blue line. Right, so it's a demarcation line between Lebanon and Israel established by United Nations in 2000 to verify Israel's withdrawal from southern Lebanon. It is not an official international border but a line of withdrawal crucial to UN Security Council Resolution 1701. Right, so blue line. So basically with respect to the withdrawal of Israeli forces, right? And the force which monitors this line is UNIFIL, United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon, monitors the line, and any unauthorized crossing is considered a violation. Right, so it verifies the end of 1982 to 2000 Israeli occupation of southern Lebanon. So again it is in news because of Israel's attack on Lebanon. Right, and then here we have Cyprus, right? So here you can see Cyprus, and Cyprus is again divided into two parts. So there are two territories of UK in Cyprus called Akrotiri and Dhekelia, right? So there are two territories, but more important is to know the neighbors of Lebanon, right? Neighbors of Lebanon. So Israel is there and Syria is there, and maritime neighbor is Cyprus, right? So this is Lebanon. So on one side you have Syria and on the other side you have Israel. Right, so there was Prime Minister Modi's visit to Cyprus in June 2025, and this was first visit by Indian Prime Minister in 23 years. He was awarded the Grand Cross of the Order of Makarios III. Cyprus is a member of European Union and the third largest Mediterranean island after Sicily and Sardinia. Now Cyprus had gained independence from UK in 1960, and there was Turkish invasion in 1974, and which led to the division of Cyprus, and there is a Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus as well. Now there's a green line. So blue line is between Israel and Lebanon, whereas this UN patrols the green line, which divides Cyprus into two parts. So green line is in Cyprus, and Prime Minister was given the highest civilian honor named after his first president, Archbishop Makarios III. Right, then let's look at Iran, very much in news. So some basic details about Iran. So Iran was ruled by Pahlavi dynasty. Iran was ruled by Pahlavi dynasty. Shah Reza Pahlavi, he was the last ruler and US ally. Okay, and he was overthrown by the 1979 Islamic Revolution. So Islamic Revolution will happen in 1979. Then there was a 8-year war between Iraq and Iran, right? And India initiated the Chabahar project in 2003 in Iran. There was this 2015 Iran nuclear deal, also known as Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA. It was signed by the P5, the permanent 5 members of UN Security Council, plus one, which was Germany and Iran, right? But in 2018, US under President Trump in his first tenure walked out of the deal, jeopardizing it for all. Right. Then the major port of Iran, which is located in Persian Gulf, is Bandar Abbas. Right. Chabahar port is being developed by India. Now there's a religious place which is very important, which is Qom. Then Tehran is the capital, and also Ramsar, right? The Ramsar site. This place is also located in Iran, Ramsar, on the Caspian Sea coast. Now, the nuclear sites which were attacked in June 2025 are Isfahan, Natanz and Fordo by US as part of the Operation Midnight Hammer. Then the neighbors of Iran, there are total 7 neighbors of Iran. So we can remember this acronym TAPI, and here A is for 3 and 2 from T. So one T is for Turkey, other T is for Turkmenistan, Then the 3 A's are for Afghanistan, Azerbaijan and Armenia. P is for Pakistan and I is for Iraq, right. So, these are the 7 neighboring countries of Iran. Now, it is a member of BRICS grouping as well as SCO grouping. There is a lake Urmia in Iran, Urmia, and it is the largest lake in West Asia. It is also an endorheic lake. Endorheic lake means endorheic lake means there is no outflow connecting to the ocean, right. And Caspian Sea is the world's largest endorheic lake, right. Then in context of the nuclear program of Iran, right, which has been the bone of contention between US and Iran basically. So, International Atomic Energy Agency is also there, which we should know about. So, it is known as the nuclear watchdog of United Nations, and it was established in 1957. Headquarters is in Vienna, Austria, and it is an UN agency, and it reports to UN General Assembly as well as UN Security Council. Now, the formation of IAEA was out of a speech given by US President Dwight Eisenhower in 1953. The speech was Atoms for Peace, right. Atoms for Peace. So, that is why it is also known as Atoms for Peace Organization. So, maybe a question can be there in exam that which organization is known as Atoms for Peace Organization. So, the right answer would be IAEA, and the headquarters is in Vienna, Austria. It was established in 1957. Right, then the Canadian Prime Minister's visit to India, Mark Carney, in March 2026, and there has been a reset in India-Canada relations after the tensions of 2023-24. A long-term contract was finalized with Canada's Cameco for supply of uranium ore concentrates to India, right. Because India wants to achieve this target of 100 gigawatts of nuclear energy by 2047. So, in that context, maybe the name of this company can be as Canada's Cameco. Then India imports 70% of its uranium requirements. Now, Mark Carney was also in news because of a doctrine that he gave during the sidelines of World Economic Forum. So, during the Davos World Economic Forum Summit 2026, Carney or Mark Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada, he suggested a third path foreign policy for middle powers aiming to avoid choosing sides in US-China rivalry, right. Third path aiming like avoiding to choose sides in this US-China rivalry. And World Economic Forum is also important, we should know about it. So, the founder of World Economic Forum is Klaus Schwab, right, and it was established in 1971. Headquarters is in Geneva, and Klaus Schwab is a German professor, and World Economic Forum is an international organization for public-private cooperation. The earlier name of World Economic Forum was European Management Forum, right, and it talks about stakeholder capitalism, right. So, it has given a term stakeholder capitalism, not shareholder capitalism. So, stakeholder capitalism is a broader term. It takes into account the interest of everybody who is a stakeholder in the organization, right, and not just the interest of the shareholders. Now, the major reports released by World Economic Forum are Global Competitiveness Report, Global Gender Gap Report and Global Risk Report. Then Raisina Dialogue was also in news. So, Raisina Dialogue 2026 hosted by Observer Research Foundation and Ministry of Economic Affairs, right, and it is an annual event. The 11th edition was held in 2026 in New Delhi. The chief guest was Dr. Alexander Stubb, President of Finland, and the theme was Samskar, Assertion, Accommodation, Advancement, right. And some other important such conferences are Munich Security Conference in Munich, Germany, and Shangri-La Dialogue hosted at Singapore. There was also this launch of Raisina Science Diplomacy Initiative to integrate the technological innovation with global foreign policy, right. So, this was in news. right? Then there was news about this Arctic sentry mission, right? It was launched by NATO in February 2026, and it's a multi-domain initiative to strengthen security, surveillance, and collective defense in Arctic region. Now, Arctic region lies north of the Arctic Circle, 66 degree 34 minutes north, centered in North Pole, and includes Arctic Ocean and parts of 8 countries. Right? So, 8 countries are part of the Arctic region. Which are these 8 countries? So, we can use this acronym FINDS RUC. FINDS RUC. Right. So, FINDS RUC is the acronym that we can use. So, F is for Finland, I is for Iceland, N is for Norway, D is for Denmark, S is for Sweden, and R is for Russia, U is for US, and C is for Canada. Right. So, FINDS RUC. FINDS, you can also pronounce RUC as RUC. So, FINDS RUC. Right, FINDS RUC. So, that will make it easier to remember it. Then Arctic region, it lies north of the Arctic Circle. So, these are the countries, right? Finland is there, Sweden is there, Norway is there, right? Then Denmark is there because Greenland is there. Then Canada is there, and US because of Alaska, and Russia, and Iceland is there. FINDS RUC or FINDS RUC. Then let's look at NATO summit, right? And NATO. So, NATO was in news because of there were differences and Donald Trump's claim over Greenland, right? So, North Atlantic Treaty Organization is the full form, and it was signed in Washington DC. The treaty was signed on in Washington DC on April 4, 1949. Founding members were 12. Now the membership has increased to 32. Right, and the latest 31st member was Finland, and 32nd member was Sweden in 2024. Right, and the current Secretary General is Mark Rutte. Mark Rutte is the current Secretary General. He comes from Netherlands, and the headquarters is in Brussels, Belgium. Right, and NATO's formation was basically against the Warsaw Pact countries. It was established in 1955. So, it was basically a treaty organization, security alliance for Cold War. But it has continued even after the Cold War period has ended. Then the NATO Summit 2025, it was held in June 2025 and hosted at The Hague by the Netherlands, and decided to aim for 5% of GDP for defense spending by 2035 by member countries. So, US is putting pressure on its European allies that you have to contribute more for the defense. Then Article 5 of NATO, it basically stands for collective defense. Article 5 of NATO stands for collective defense. Right. Then we come to this Southeast Asia. Now, in Southeast Asia, what was in news basically? So, Laos, right? Laos was in news. Laos, the capital is Vientiane, and it has been added as a partner country in SCO, 17th partner country during the Tianjin SCO Summit. Then Timor-Leste, the capital is Delhi. It was in news because it has been added as the 11th member of ASEAN grouping, right? So, very, very important. Timor-East or Timor-Leste has been added as the 11th member of ASEAN during the ASEAN Summit, Kuala Lumpur Summit, hosted by Malaysia. And there was this conflict, Thailand-Cambodia conflict, over 2 temples, Preah Vihear temple and also this Prasat Ta Mueang Thom, right? 2 temples were involved in this conflict between the 2 sides. And there was news about UNESCO World Heritage Site list where 3 Khmer Rouge torture sites have been added to the UNESCO World Heritage Site. So, Khmer Rouge regime also 50 years of its coming to power has happened or is being marked in 2026. That is why it is also in news. So, now let us look at the Prasat Ta Mueang Thom and Preah Vihear complex. So, this is Thailand and this is Cambodia. So, in the border region there are these 2 major temples, Prasat Ta Mueang Thom and Prasat Preah Vihear. temple complexes, and both are Shiva temples, but one of them, Preah Vihear, Prasata Muenthom, it has been converted for Buddhist use, right? And both sides claim these temples, and the issue was also taken to International Court of Justice, which ruled in favor of Cambodia, right? So Thailand was earlier known as Siam, and Cambodia was earlier known as Kampuchea, and Cambodia was a colony of France. So France decided the border, which is disputed by Thailand. Now historical dispute dates back to 1907. Now this triangular area, right, which comprises parts of Thailand, parts of Cambodia and parts of Laos, it is known as Southeast Asian Emerald Triangle. Southeast Asian Emerald Triangle. Right, Southeast Asian Emerald Triangle. So it's a geographically sensitive area where borders of Laos, Thailand, Cambodia meet, and it is marked by dense forest and ancient temples, right? So geographically sensitive area, this Southeast Asian Emerald Triangle. There's also this MLT triangle, which is the what is known as the there's this two major opium producing regions in the world, right? One is the opium crescent, right, which is Iran, Pakistan and Afghanistan, and there is also the golden triangle, right? So there's a golden triangle here, which is the opium producing region, and it comprises of Myanmar, Thailand and Laos. Similarly, golden crescent is there, which comprises of Iran, Pakistan and Afghanistan, right? So these are major opium producing regions in the world, right? So that also we should know. Next we come to the Preah Vihear temple. So it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site dedicated to Lord Shiva, built around 11th century by Khmer kings Suryavarman I and II. Dispute was taken to International Court of Justice in 1962. ICJ ruled in favor of Cambodia. 2013 also ICJ reaffirmed its verdict, but Thailand disputes it, right? Similarly, the Prasata Muenthom temple, it is a 12th century temple dedicated to Lord Shiva, later adopted for Buddhist use, built by Khmer kings Uday Aditya Varman II and Jayavarman VII. So this is the basic information that we should know here. Then the Khmer Rouge, right? Khmer Rouge torture sites added to UNESCO World Heritage Site. So these are genocide sites added in 2025 to UNESCO World Heritage Site list. From India, the Maratha military landscapes, right? 12 Maratha forts. Only one fort is not in Maharashtra, that is Jinji Fort in Tamil Nadu, right? So that is also important, you should know. Now they have been added in 2025 to the UNESCO World Heritage Site list, and 3 locations added: S21 prison, M13 prison and showing Ek genocidal center. The regime, the Khmer Rouge regime ruled Cambodia from 1975 to 79, and they approximately killed 1.7 million people. 2025 marks the 50th year of Khmer Rouge rise to power, and the leader of Khmer Rouge was Pol Pot, right? So something about Khmer Rouge can also be asked, because it was in news, right? Next we move to the term genocide, right? The term genocide. So there's a UN convention, which is the 1948 Genocide Convention, and it is a legally binding UN treaty, right? Basically, genocide refers to destruction of a nation or an ethnic group, right? The term genocide was coined by a Jewish lawyer from Poland. The name was Raphael Lamkin. And genocide, the term comes from 2 languages, Greek and Latin. Genos in Greek means tribe or race, side in Latin means killing, right? And ethnic cleansing and genocide are also closely connected. Ethnic cleansing is when you are cleaning or removing a particular ethnic group from a area, that is ethnic cleansing. If you are completely destroying that ethnic group, then it becomes genocide. So ethnic cleansing taken to its most extreme form will be genocide. And genocide was in news in context of Rohingya genocide. Myanmar is accused of Rohingya genocide, and the case in ICJ has been filed by an African country, Gambia, on the behalf of Organization for Islamic Cooperation, because in ICJ only one country can file a case against another country. Organization cannot file. So that is why Gambia has filed. Similarly, Gaza genocide case in 2024, South Africa filed a case against Israel for committing genocide against the civilian population of Gaza. Right? Many other countries have also joined the case on side of South Africa. Then the largest Rohingya refugee camp in Bangladesh is in Kutupalong in Cox's Bazar. I told you a little back. Now let's look at ICJ, International Court of Justice. So it is the principal organ of United Nations, located at the Peace Palace in The Hague, established in 1945 as successor organization of Permanent Court of International Justice, established in 1922 under the League of Nations to settle disputes between states and to provide advisory legal opinion. It is also known as the World Court. It comprises of 15 judges elected by UN General Assembly and United Nations Security Council for a 9-year term. So term is 9 years, and the official language of ICJ is English and French. Right, who have been the Indian judges at International Court of Justice? So the current judge is Justice Talveer Bhandari since 2012, and before him Sir B.N. Rao from 50 to 53, Sir Nagendra Singh 1973 to 88, and Sri R.V. Bhandare from 1991 to 96. Right, then one term we should know, principle of non-refoulement. So this is the term of international law, and it is connected with the UN Convention on Refugees and Additional Protocol 1967. It is part of the Article 33 of UN Refugee Convention. It basically says that you cannot send back a person who has come to your country back to a country where that person may come to any harm, right? So you cannot send a person back to a country from where he has come if he may if there is a reasonable risk of that person coming to any harm in that country, right? So that is principle of non-refoulement. Now India is not a signatory to these conventions, but continues to host a large refugee population. So India has not signed the UN Refugee Convention and its additional protocol. Next we come to Ethiopia. Ethiopia was in news for 2-3 major reasons. One was Prime Minister Modi's visit to Ethiopia. He was also given the highest civilian award there, right? Then Ethiopia was in news because of eruption of a volcano, Heli Gubbi volcano, right? Volcanic eruption was there. Then the third thing was the dam, Africa's largest dam. So one is the Chinese dam, Madok Dam, and the other is Ethiopian dam. The name is Great Ethiopian Vinasa Dam, and GERD on Blue Nile, and location is on Ethiopia-Sudan border. It is 5,150 megawatt dam, and it is the largest dam in Africa, 170 meter in height and 2 kilometer in width. Right. So there was volcanic eruption also, Heli Gubbi, in the Afar region of Ethiopia. Ethiopia is also a BRICS member, and the capital is Addis Ababa, which is also the headquarter of African Union. And the president is Abiy Ahmed, right? President is Abiy Ahmed. Aswan Dam on Nile was built by Egypt in 1970, right? So these are some facts we should know. Next, Prime Minister Modi's visit to Ethiopia in December 2025. He was given the highest civilian honor of Ethiopia, Great Honor Nishan of Ethiopia. Relations were elevated to strategic partnership. Now Ethiopia is a landlocked country, right? And it is located in Horn of Africa region, right? And sometimes countries are double landlocked. That means they are landlocked and their neighbors are also landlocked. So there are 2 countries in the world which are double landlocked. One is Uzbekistan and the other is Liechtenstein, right, in Europe. So Uzbekistan and Liechtenstein. Right. So here we can see the Blue Nile, right? So Blue Line originates from Lake Tana, right? Lake Tana. that is Blue Nile, and here we have the GERD dam. Then there is the White Nile, right? White Nile originates from Lake Victoria, right? Lake Victoria, which is part of Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda, right? Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania. Right, the map is not very clear, but you can look it in your atlas. Then there was the French president's visit to India, Emmanuel Macron's visit in February 2026 to attend the AI Impact Summit as well. Now, in this visit, it was decided that Indo-French Center for Digital Sciences will be established. Relations were elevated to Special Global Strategy Partnership (SGSP), and the 26 Rafale marine jet deal was also finalized. India and France, we are co-founders of the International Solar Alliance and also involved in the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure (CDRI). Right, France was the first country with which India had signed, entered into a strategic partnership in 1998. Right, so it's a very special kind of relationship that India has with France. Right, next thing was about Board of Peace. So Board of Peace is the brainchild of Donald Trump, and it's a new international organization created by US President Trump and formally established on the sidelines of 56th World Economic Forum Davos Summit in January 2026. There was the first meeting in February 2026. India attended as observer. Pakistan has joined this Board of Peace, and the first meeting was held in Washington DC. UN Security Council Resolution 2803 has named it as a body to oversee the process of Gaza peace plan. So it has also got UNSC approval. Then Ottawa Convention was in news. Ottawa Convention is basically, it was in news because Poland has recently withdrawn from the 1997 anti-personnel mine ban treaties, right? So it is basically a anti-personnel mine ban treaty, and there is another Ottawa Declaration, right? So Ottawa Convention is there and Ottawa Declaration is there. So Ottawa Convention is basically from which Poland has withdrawn, and it is 1997 anti-personnel mine ban treaty. But the Ottawa Declaration is of 1996, and it basically established the Arctic Council. Right? Arctic Council was established by the Ottawa Declaration, right? And India is observer in Arctic Council since 2013. Right? So Ottawa Convention and Ottawa Declaration, both differences we should know. And Ottawa Convention is of 1997, whereas Ottawa Declaration is of 1996. So Declaration comes 1 year before the Convention. Right. Then there was visit by Brazilian President Lula to India in February 2026 to attend the AI Impact Summit. And here we should see the BRICS Summit 2025, which was 17th BRICS Summit, and it was hosted by Brazil at Rio. BRICS, the population is 50%, and GDP is 40% of global GDP and 25% of global trade. So very significant organization. The summit, 17th summit, was hosted by Brazil at Rio in July 2025, and a new member was added last year, that is Indonesia. The theme of the summit was strengthening global South cooperation for more inclusive and sustainable governance. 11 new partner countries were also welcomed during this summit. So in SCO also we are having partner countries, and in BRICS also we are having partner countries. Now very important is the 18th BRICS Summit, which will be hosted by India in 2026, and this will be the 4th time India will be hosting the BRICS Summit. So earlier India has hosted in 2012 in New Delhi, 2016 in Goa, 2021 virtually because of COVID-19, and 2026 we are going to host it in New Delhi, right? And the theme for 18th BRICS Summit will be building resilience and innovation for cooperation and sustainability. The logo is in the shape of lotus and namaste, right? So that is about the 18th BRICS Summit, which will be hosted in 2026 by India at New Delhi. Then little bit about the BRICS organization. So BRIC term was coined in 2001 by Jim O'Neill, a Goldman Sachs analyst, to refer to emerging economies. In 2006, informally, the ministers of these 4 countries met on the sidelines of UN General Assembly at New York. In 2009, the first official meeting happened at Yekaterinburg in Russia. Then in 2010, South Africa joined, making it BRICS. And there was this 2023 summit in Johannesburg, where 6 new members were added. Otherwise, BRICS was 5-member grouping. So 6 new members were added. We can remember it like AI used to. So A is for Argentina, which finally said no. Iran joined, UAE joined, Saudi Arabia undecided so far. It has not attended the summits since then. Then Egypt and Ethiopia, they also joined, right? So this is the situation of BRICS as of now. Right, next is the Pax Silica. So it is a US-led initiative which aims to secure supply chains for AI, semiconductors and critical minerals among partner countries. Inaugural summit of Pax Silica was held in December 2025 at Washington DC, but India was not a member till then. India has joined in February 2026 during AI Impact Summit. So this distinction also you should remember, because in exam a question can be there that India attended the first summit of Pax Silica, or the first meeting, right, inaugural summit in Washington DC. No, but is India a member of Pax Silica? Yes, now India is a member of Pax Silica. Right, the countries which are part of Pax Silica are India, US, Japan, South Korea, Australia, Singapore, UAE, Israel, UK, Netherlands, Qatar and Greece so far. Pax means peace in Latin. Right, then we come to the AI Impact Summit. So this AI Impact Summit 2026, so here the movement was from AI safety to AI for development in India, hosted by MITI, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology at Bharat Mandapam. The theme was Sarvjan Hitaye, Sarvjan Sukhaye, welfare for all, happiness for all, and the first global AI summit to be hosted in Global South. Now 3 sutras and 7 chakras were also given. So 3 sutras are the guiding principles, which are people, planet and progress. So focus on human welfare, highlighting environmental responsibility and aims at inclusive development. This is the 3 sutras. Then 7 chakras, key areas of international cooperation in AI, human capital, science, resilience, innovation, efficiency, inclusion for social empowerment, democratizing AI resources, economic growth and social good, safe and trusted AI, right? These are the 7 chakras. Then previous global AI summits, so question can be from here as well. So Bletchley Park in London, that was first in 2023, Seoul, AI Seoul Summit 2024, Paris, France AI Action Summit 2025 and New Delhi, India AI Impact Summit in 2026. So we can remember it like BSP India, right? And the next summit is going to be held in Geneva, Switzerland, right? So BSP India, we should remember. And the theme was Sarvjan Hitaye, Sarvjan Sukhaye. Right, next we come to Venezuela. So US did Operation Absolute Resolve in Venezuela to arrest President Nicolas Maduro and accusing him of narco-terrorism. US claimed that Cartel of the Suns was run by Venezuelan officials which had flooded US with cocaine. In this context, the drug war of US, fentanyl was also in news. So fentanyl is a synthetic opioid and leading cause of overdose death among Americans, and the US blames China and India for this because a major ingredient of from which fentanyl is made is supplied by India and China, right? And some people misuse it for making fentanyl. Right, in this context of the US Operation Absolute Resolve in Venezuela, this doctrine was in news, Monroe Doctrine, that is of 1823. And Monroe Doctrine basically meant 3 things: that European powers should not establish new colonies in Americas, and it was given by US President James Monroe. Second is US would not interfere in European wars or internal affairs of European countries. Third, any attempt by external powers to influence Western Hemisphere, that is the Americas, would be viewed as hostile to US. So like basically the sphere of influence was made clear that Americas is the sphere of influence of US, and European intervention there is not welcome. Right? That was the Monroe Doctrine given by President James Monroe in 1823. Now, US asserted its dominance over the Americas or Western Hemisphere through this. Now, the action in Venezuela, it has violated UN Charter. So, UN Charter was in news. UN Charter was adopted in 1945. Right, 26 June 1945 it was adopted, and it came into force from 24th October 1945. So, it was adopted during the San Francisco Conference. So, these are basic facts. Then UN Charter is also the foundation treaty of United Nations. Now, capture of Nicolas Maduro violates Article 2 Clause 4 of UN Charter because it prohibits use of force against territorial integrity of any state, which the US has done. US has tried to justify this Operation Absolute Resolve, which it did in Venezuela, under the Article 51 of UN Charter. So, US has defended its action using Article 51 of UN Charter, which justifies military response in self-defense. Right. So, they have said that that drug war was launched by the Venezuelan administration and leaders, and that is why they have taken this action. Right. Next, we should also know about the unable or unwilling doctrine. So, if a state is either unwilling to stop criminal gangs or is actively collaborating with them, it forfeits its right to absolute sovereignty. So, this doctrine was also used, and UN Security Council, it can authorize military action under Chapter 7, and under Chapter 6, it basically authorizes peaceful settlement of disputes. So, this also we should know, UNSC Chapter 6 and Chapter 7. Next is about Venezuela. So, Venezuela, it is the world's largest, has the world's largest proven oil reserves, around 300 billion barrels. Then primarily located in Orinoco Belt, right? Then the number one country with proven oil reserves is Venezuela, followed by Saudi Arabia, Iran, Canada, and Iraq. Venezuela accounts for 17 to 20% of total global oil production. But the Venezuelan oil is extra heavy crude oil, right, which has a API gravity less than 10 degree, that is denser than water. So, the higher is the API gravity, it is less heavy. So, high sulfur in crude oil makes it sour, and low sulfur makes it sweet, right. Then Angel Falls on Churun River, it is the world's highest waterfall. Now, the neighboring countries of Venezuela are 3 countries, you can remember it like BCG, Colombo, Brazil, and Guyana, right. Then Guyana Highlands, these are in Venezuela, Guyana, Brazil, Suriname, and French Guyana. Right. Then US has exited from multiple organizations, 66 international organizations, including WHO, UNESCO, International Solar Alliance, UNFCCC, UN Women, UN Population Fund, etc. In case of International Solar Alliance, the membership is open to all UN member states. Then in 2021, US had joined, and 2026 it has exited. Headquarter of International Solar Alliance is in Gurugram. It was launched on sidelines of COP21 in 2015 Paris Agreement, on the sidelines of Paris Agreement, and India and France are the co-founders, and they have now this towards 1000 strategy of International Solar Alliance. And towards 1000 means $1,000 billion investment, 1000 million people to be provided energy access using clean energy, 1000 gigawatts of solar energy capacity to be installed, and 1000 million tons of CO2 mitigation annually, right. So, these are the towards 1000 goals, right, and they have to be achieved by 2030 by International Solar Alliance, right. Then 2026 is India France Year of Innovation, UN International Year of Women Farmer, International Year of Rangeland Pastoralists by FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization, then International Year of Volunteer for Sustainable Development by UN, right. 2026 is also been marked as ASEAN India Year of Maritime Cooperation, right, and SCO Year of Sustainable Development, right. So, of Sustainable Development. So these are international years, again very important. Then we come to the issue of Greenland, right? Greenland. So Greenland, in the indigenous language, it is known as Kalalit Nunat. Kalalit Nunat. So indigenous name meaning land of the people. Capital of Greenland is Nuuk. It is the world's largest island because Australia is a continent, right? That is why Greenland is the world's largest island. And geographically, it is part of North American continent. It's part of North American continent, and 89% population are Greenlandic Inuit people, right? So all these things are facts which can be asked. It's a self-governing territory of Denmark. So Denmark is responsible only for defense, foreign relations and currency. Otherwise, it is self-governing territory. Now, US defense base in Greenland is Pituffik Space Base, right? So US already has a base in Greenland, and Greenland is also rich in mineral resources. Now, US had acquired Alaska from Russia in 1867 for $7.2 million, and Alaska became a US state in 1959. US wants to acquire Greenland because of Arctic security, rare earth minerals, US expansionism, opening of new routes due to climate change, right? The Pituffik Space Base, earlier it was known as Thule Air Base. It helps in early warning and missile defense plus monitoring potential threats from Russia, China and North Korea. So that is the reason why US is interested here. Now, because of global warming, the two sea routes which are becoming possible here are the Northern Sea Route and the Northwest Passage. Northern Sea Route or Northeast Passage is controlled by Russia, and it runs along the Siberian coast, right? The Northwest Passage runs through the Canadian Arctic Archipelago, and Canada claims Northwest Passage as internal waters. Both Northern Sea Route and the Northwest Passage, they offer shorter routes than the conventional maritime route, but they face ice, navigational and jurisdictional challenges, right? Let me show you on map. So this is also very important. This is the Northern Sea Route, right? Northern Sea Route, right? Which is basically controlled by Russia, right? This is the Northern Sea Route, right? Then we have the Northwest Passage also. Here we can see the Northern Sea Route and Northwest Passage. So Northern Sea Route, this one is controlled by Russia, and this is the Northwest Passage controlled by Canada basically, right? So Northern Sea Route starts from Bering Sea, then Bering Strait is there, then Barents Sea is there, and then we reach the North Sea. Whereas in case of the Northwest Passage, we start again from Bering Sea, then we reach Bering Strait, then Beaufort Sea and Baffin Bay, and finally to Atlantic Ocean, right? So you should see in atlas also the location, right, and the route. Then the polar research stations of India were in news in context of Maitri 2 station being planned. So India has these 4 research stations as of now. In Arctic we have one which is Himadri, right, since 2008, and it is located at Svalbard in Norway, right, Spitsbergen. Whereas in Antarctic we had Dakshin Gangotri, right, it is now submerged. Then we had Maitri in 1989 and Bharti in 2012. Now we are planning for Maitri 2. And these research stations come under the National Center for Polar and Ocean Research, which works under Ministry of Earth Sciences. Right. Next we have this international police organization, Interpol. So Interpol has 195 members, and the full name is International Criminal Police Organization, established in 1923. India is a member since 1949. Headquarters is in Lyon, France, and the nodal agency is CBI, right, for India with respect to Interpol. And basically Interpol helps in coordination between police of different countries. Interpol has no arrest powers, and it issues notices, color notices. Famous is red notice, which seeks location and arrest of wanted persons. There is also silver notice, which was introduced as a pilot in 2025 to identify and trace criminal assets or illicit assets, right. So this we should know about Interpol. Then International Criminal Court also in news, we should know this. So International Criminal Court, it is the world's first permanent international criminal court mandated to prosecute individuals, right. ICJ is for states, state versus state, but to prosecute individuals, International Criminal Court is there for the gravest international crimes. It is governed by Rome Statute, adopted in 1998 and came into force in 2002. Headquarters is at The Hague. It prosecutes individuals and not states. ICC operates in complementarity. It acts only when states are unwilling or unable to prosecute. Now, India, China, US and Israel, these are not parties to ICC. So, they do not accept the jurisdiction of International Criminal Court. Right, the crimes which come under ICC jurisdiction, they are genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes and crimes of aggression. Right, then there was a UN80 initiative. So this basically is about the UN reforms. So system-wide reform efforts launched by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres in March 2025 to mark the 80th anniversary of UN. And Wassenaar arrangement, right, this is a multilateral export control regime. It was also in news. So Wassenaar arrangement is basically, it was in news. It is basically against the dual use. It controls the dual use nature of goods, which has both civilian and military use. So Wassenaar arrangement, it basically deals with physical arms and dual use exports are regulated under it. In 2013, expansion of the mandate was done to include intrusive softwares as well. So there was protest against Microsoft over alleged use of Azure cloud services in military operations by Israel. Right, so that is why it was in news. So Wassenaar and the intrusive software, that also you should know, and physical arms and dual use exports are regulated under the Wassenaar arrangement. Right, then we come to the 22nd ASEAN India Summit hosted by Malaysia at Kuala Lumpur and adopted the ASEAN India Plan of Action 2026-30 to operationalize the comprehensive strategic partnership. India announced 2026 as ASEAN India Year of Maritime Cooperation, focusing on blue economy, maritime security and humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. Right, so blue economy is basically about sustainable use of oceans, sea and coastal resources. Then India will host the East Asia Summit Maritime Heritage Festival at Lothal in Gujarat. Right, Lothal has Sabarmati and Bhogavo rivers, right, and located on Gulf of Khambat. So there is this National Maritime Heritage Complex being developed under the Sagarmala program by Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways at Lothal. Right, then India EU FTA was in news. So India EU FTA announced on 27 January 2026. Now European Union leaders were invited as chief guest for the 77th Republic Day. So Ursula von der Leyen, President of European Commission, and Antonio Costa, President of European Council, had come. Ursula von der Leyen is from Germany and Antonio Costa is former Prime Minister of Portugal and also a person of Indian origin, PIO. His father was from Goan Mozambique descent. Now this India-EU FTA has been talked about as mother of all deals because it comprises of 2 billion people and 25% of global GDP, and it creates a massive free trade zone. World's second and now world's sixth largest economic blocs have come together. So this is about the India-EU FTA. Right, European Union is a 27 member bloc and 21 countries are in Eurozone. Now Eurozone was initiated in 1999 and the latest member to join Eurozone as the 21st member in 1st January 2026 is Bulgaria. Right, so very important, this can be asked. Bulgaria has become the 21st member to join Eurozone, and European Union was formed by Treaty of Maastricht in 1993, and it's an economic plus political union. Then European Central Bank is located in Frankfurt, Germany, and headquarter of European Union is at Brussels in Belgium. Right, next we come to the G20 Summit 2025, hosted by South Africa at Johannesburg. The theme was solidarity and equality and sustainability, solidarity, equality and sustainability, based on African philosophy of Ubuntu, right? Very important, Ubuntu philosophy. And it talks about shared humanity. I am because you are. And there was this Mission 300. It is initiative led by World Bank and African Development Bank to provide electricity to 300 million people in sub-Saharan Africa by 2030, right? This African Development Bank is located at Abidjan, capital of Ivory Coast. Very important thing here was that US boycotted G20 Summit. G20 Summit 2025, because it said that there was racism being practiced by South Africa, and US is supposed to host the 2026 G20 Summit, right, and which will be hosted in Florida, Miami, Florida, right. So this was very unfortunate, but knowing Donald Trump, he takes such action. So like US did not participate, otherwise at least the country which is going to take over as the next host always participate. And this was the first time that this G20 summit, G20 summit was hosted by an African country, South Africa, right. So this was also very unique. And G20 also adopted Nelson Mandela Bay target to reduce the rate of youth not in employment, education or training by 5% by 2030. NEET, right. So NEET is in news, you know. So adopted Nelson, but this is a different NEET, right. So adopted Nelson Mandela Bay target to reduce the rate of youth not in employment, education or training. Then 25% gender parity in labor force by 2030. Right. Next about G20. So G20 established in 1999 after the Asian financial crisis of 97-98, and G20 stands for Group of 20. And initially it was at the level of central bank governors and finance ministers. It was raised to the leadership level in 2008 after the global financial crisis 2007-08. There are 21 members, out of which 19 are countries and 2 regional organizations, European Union and African Union. African Union became a member in 2023 summit hosted by India. Then the G20 does not have a permanent headquarter, no permanent headquarter, and it comprises of global GDP of 85%, global trade of 75%, global population of 2/3 of world population, and it relies on Troika mechanism to maintain continuity of agenda, right. So right now the Troika was, outgoing president was Brazil, current president was South Africa, and incoming president was US. Right. Then very important is no king's protest. We have already seen protests against Donald Trump in US, but UN has designated African slave trade as the gravest crime against humanity. The resolution was proposed by Ghana, right, President John Mahama, and 12.5 million Africans were abducted and sold between 15th to 19th centuries. The Abolition of Slavery Act 1833 was passed in British Empire, and it led to indentured labor system under which Girmitias were sent overseas to work in plantations, right. So it is also connected with India, but this resolution was proposed by Ghana and supported by African Union plus Caribbean community, right. But it was opposed by 3 countries, US, Israel and Argentina. These 3 countries opposed the resolution. It was passed, but yes, these 3 countries stood out for their opposition to this African slave trade as the gravest crime against humanity resolution. It was brought by Ghana. Right. Then Guyana Highlands, also known as Guyana Shield, one of the oldest geological formation, right, and also known as greenhouse of the earth. 20% of world's fresh water is also here, and Guyana Highlands are known for tabletop mountains known as tepuis, right. So such terms can be asked. Then India and UAE have signed a letter of intent for strategic defense partnership. Pakistan and Saudi Arabia have also signed a mutual defense pact last year. Then in the Yemen civil war, there was this conflict between Saudi Arabia and UAE, which are otherwise allies. So Houthi rebels are there. They are backed by Iran. They captured capital Sana'a in 2014, which led to military intervention by Saudi Arabia and its allies, and the civil war started in Yemen. But then in the Yemen civil war, now three formations are there. Houthi rebels, they are backed by Iran. Houthi rebels are also known as Ansar Allah. Then international government in Yemen backed by Saudi Arabia, plus a Southern Transition Council which wants to separate, which wants to divide Yemen, right? And they want to set up South Arabia, right? South Arabia, not Saudi Arabia, but South Arabia they want to form, and it is backed by UAE. So there was conflict between these two parties, and there was a aerial strike on Mukalla port where UAE shipment had come for Southern Transition Council. So UAE then finally decided to exit from Yemen civil war. So UAE has exited. So this led to a conflict between the two allies who are otherwise allies, UAE and Saudi Arabia. And UAE has also recently exited from OPEC, right? Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. So UAE has exited, whereas Saudi Arabia remains the topmost country in OPEC, right? The most powerful country in OPEC. Right, so this port Mukalla was in news, Mukalla in Yemen. Then here is Aden and Hodeida port, right? So these are some ports which we should know. Duqm port in Oman, that is used by India. Then in Yemen, there was also the case of Nimisha Preah. So Nimisha Preah is an Indian nurse who is facing death penalty in Yemen, right? And in her case, blood money was being talked about, that there's a concept there that if the family of the accused pays money to the family of the victim, then the victim's family can pardon the accused. So blood money is known as diya in Sharia law, and it's a monetary compensation paid to a victim's family in exchange for pardon. But still her case remains pending as of now. Then Syria was in news. President Ahmad al-Shara Abu Julani, he is heading Syria, and his outfit is known as HTS, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. It toppled the Bashar al-Assad regime in 2024. Right, now there are multiple ethnic groups in Syria. Alawites are there, Druze are there, Kurds are there, right? There was a conflict between Druze and Bedouins, in the Sueda area of Syria. So this is also very important, right? That maybe this thing can be asked, that who were the rival parties? So Druze and Bedouins, right? Israel also did airstrikes in support of Druze. There are Druze in Israel as well. Then there was news about this country, Somaliland, right? Somaliland, it was recognized by Israel in 2025. Israel has become the first country to recognize Somaliland, right? This is Cameroon, and Cameroon hosted the Ministerial 14 of WTO World Trade Organization, right, at Yaoundé, where the e-commerce moratorium was not continued. Right, so WTO MC14 we have already seen, Yaoundé package. And Cameroon was also in news because the world's oldest president, Paul Biya, 92 years old, he was again elected, right? And Yaoundé Declaration, Yaoundé package is WTO, and Yaoundé Declaration is basically about malaria. Like 11 high burden malaria countries in Africa, and they had come together for the Yaoundé Declaration on controlling malaria. Right, then there was this news about the Aini Air Base, right? So Aini Air Base was India's air base in Tajikistan, and India has now ended its presence here, right? So Wakhan corridor also is very important, that you should see. It is a small piece of land which connects Afghanistan with China, right? Then there was another airbase, Farkhor. India left it in 2008 in Tajikistan. It was India's only overseas airbase. Then Timor East has been added as the 11th member of ASEAN, very, very important. And the capital of Timor East is Dili. Like ASEAN was established in 1967 by the Bangkok Declaration. By 1997 Bangkok Declaration, BIMSTEC was created, right? So same place, but 30 years apart, two declarations are being signed and for creation of different organizations. Then APEC Summit 2025, it was held in South Korea, Gyeongsu, and 1989 APEC was established, Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation, and it has 21 economies. Headquarters is in Singapore and India is not a member, APEC. Then famine was also in news. Famine was declared in a place, it was declared in Gaza because of Israeli action, and also at a place called Al Fasher, Al Fasher in Sudan, Al Fasher in Sudan. Al Fasher in Sudan, right? So it was in news because of that also. So IPC, it is Integrated Food Security Phase Classification, established in 2004 during Somalia food crisis. It's an independent body which confirms condition of famine. For an area to be declared in famine, three conditions have to be satisfied. At least 20% of people should be facing extreme food shortage. 1 in 3 children should be acutely malnourished, or 2 people out of every 10,000 should be dying daily from malnutrition. So these are three important conditions, and famine, IPC, is associated with that, right? Then Biological Weapons Convention, 50 years is there, came into force in 1975, opened for signature in 1972, India ratified in 1974. 189 state parties are there. It's a multilateral disarmament treaty banning an entire category of weapons of mass destruction, right? Then Putin's visit to India, Duma is the Russian parliament. One agreement was made operational, RELOS, that's a logistic agreement, reciprocal exchange of logistic support. Now India has such agreements with mutual logistic support agreement with Australia, acquisition and cross servicing agreement with Japan, and also logistic exchange memorandum of arrangement with US, right? So basically logistics agreement allows India to take advantage of other countries' logistical facilities when our ships are in their waters, and we have to extend the same courtesy to other countries' ships when they are in our waters, right? It increases the operational range of our navy. So with this, we have tried to cover the most important news items which were in news as far as international relations is concerned. So please look up all the maps. Some of the maps that I showed were due to lack of time, I was not able to show you really high quality maps, but you should definitely look up those places that we have discussed in Atlas, right? So wishing you all the very best for UPSC 2026 prelims, and I look forward to meeting you again. All the very best. Thank you.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.